The sun is shining here in Metamora as Week 4 is upon us in the IHSA football season. We have a big-time Mid-Illini clash coming your way. It's the 1-2. All right. Checking in audio here. Jonathan Michael here with the Clutch Sports Media WMBD Game of the Week. Here's my phrase. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. And the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. I will play an ad video to make sure you guys are getting audio for that. Let me know. Send me a text if you guys hear both me and this ad video. Let me know if we're all good or not. I'm also going to mute this microphone, the soundboard microphone, by the way. So,
the Bob Grimm way starts with us.
The Bob Grimm experience, what I like is that, you put customers first, make sure we meet every expectation and make a long-lasting relationship with them so that, they know that we're here for them and for their friends and family.
Don't try to put someone in a car that is not going to work for them. If you don't have what they want, try to get it. The proper vehicle. Again, just treat people the way you'd want to be treated and a fair deal.
That's the Bob Grimm way.
At Papa John's, we start with better. Like taking marinated oven-roasted chicken and tossing it in our hot lemon pepper sauce. Or how we hand toss our fresh, never frozen signature dough made from 6 simple ingredients. And now our dough can save you dough when you order from the Papa Pairings menu. Get 2 or more Papa Pairings favorites for just $6.99 each. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's. Order now on the app.
testing, mic audio, WMBD Game of the Week, testing, Morton and Metamora warming up on the field now. We got about 28 minutes to kickoff or so. Again, testing, mic audio. Let me know if you hear me. Okay, Rob hears me. All right, we're all good. All right, so we're good on WMBD's then. Yeah, hold on. So when it says output desktop audio, it'll play through the speakers, whatever it hears, and then echo. You see, like, we turn this on.
Number 89, Samuel Barberines, tight end, defensive end. 26, Taylor Nickel, linebacker.
Number 11, Chase Young, linebacker.
He's very, very nice.
First shot, number 9, junior, strong safety. Evan, count it down when you're close, please.
Number 3, Ethan O'Taylor, wide receiver.
Hey Evan, we're gonna go
Number 7,
offense.
Andrew
So
Desert,
go
wide
Redbird,
receiver,
rolling
DB.
Redbird, and then when he's done, go right in offense.
Number 8, Butcher, wide receiver, DB. Number 15, Braden Ritter, receiver, DB.
And next up, let's meet the Metamora offensive starters for tonight's game.
Number 72, Lenny Albert, offensive line and defensive line. Number 70, Noel Bellin, core line and defense.
So you want to be alive at 17?
73,
I want to be streaming at 708 to allow us to start the content at 17.
58, Edwin Rowe, offensive line.
Yeah, but it makes sense like that. 66, Riley Blumen, O-line.
Okay, I am going to run to the bathroom real quick. I was texting with WMBD. I let them know what time we want to start or whatever and stuff. I also told them that if you guys hear anything, let us know as soon as possible. Paco, also, by the way, a few minutes before kickoff, right at about 7:26 or so approximately, check the stream because whenever our audio will be live, let us know if you hear anything weird. If you do, let us know immediately. We'll switch it around. We'll change it back to how we think it needs to be or whatever. But we just need you just to ensure that me and Cody's audio sounds normal. All right, cool.
Evan, we're gonna go Germantown Grill.
What time you got right now, John? What time is it? 7:06?
05.
05. All right, I have time to go to the bathroom. Where's Cody at?
Cody's right outside.
They're not live. Thank you for our team sponsor.
We go back to back. So where is the Metamora package? Is it in the opening? It is right there. All right, perfect.
Yeah.
It's right there. Yep. And then I go to overtime bid. Yep. Hey, what's the most important thing? My most important thing for you? Have fun. What's the second most important thing? That's to keep track of the emails and whatnot because it will change anything. Well, it's my third thing. Second. What's number 2? Watch your eyeballs. Watch my eyeball. Only one eyeball should be live and time. Exactly. One eyeball is what? Exactly. Good. We're in business.
I can't see my other eyeball. Hi, Paco. Paco looks to me like I'm a psycho right now.
Teddy, you got me?
Paco, I'm allowed to be funny and humorous. I get it, I suck at it, but I can try.
Yeah, I got you.
Paco, how's everything been going with you? So how's everything been going with you?
Not bad. Then I went to the Taste of the Heights yesterday. It was pretty fun. You went to what? It was called like the Taste of the Heights. So, and it was like a bunch of restaurants from here at Heights had like the.
Was it with your girlfriend?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
So pretty fun.
Want to picture the officials?
I
Yeah,
don't
might
have
as well
my phone
take
on me.
one.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
2 regular guys and 3 newbies.
Perfect.
Alright, putting up the logo. We got 10 seconds to 7:08. Please put that on Twitter. Or give it to, just send it to John.
Hey John, you need a push up?
When you got me? Alright, I'm gonna.
You need officials, John?
What?
You need the officials?
I don't wouldn't need them, but if we have them, I wouldn't mind them. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I'd like to shout those guys out.
But yeah, we should be good.
We'll be ready for 7:10 open WMBD.
We'll not be live. Live camera shots for about 10 minutes, but I'll be telling you guys.
Yeah, they just said great. So
It's 08, so I have the logo up.
And you are streaming and recording.
I didn't do either of those two things. That was already done before me.
That's okay.
Ah, the Redbird is up. Tell Quinn the Redbird's up. Tell Quinn that I said it's gonna do great too. He's got it. Look.
Yeah. He can hear you. He's listening. The mic is ready.
all right, WMBD is all ready to go whenever we are.
The
So
stadium does shit. This is true. So do the best you can. If it's like really bad.
It says 7:10 on here. When I see 7:10, you want me to start it?
Yep.
All right.
If it gets to be a blowout one way or the other, then it probably won't shoot. It's a close game. Metamora fans may be wrong. But that's just kind of part of the game. So y'all are going to do the best you can. Because that's all we do.
Ready, Josh? We got 5 seconds.
You always need to. Oh, one.
The sun is shining here in Metamora as Week 4 is upon us in the IHSA football season. We have a big-time Mid-Illini clash coming your way. It's the 1-2 Morton Pirates, the 2-1 Metamora Redbirds. Both teams looking for a huge win tonight here at Malone Field. And good evening, everyone. Jonathan Michael alongside Cody Roskins in the booth with you tonight. And Cody, this is a very big game. It's still only Week 4, but feels like this maybe sort of almost a playoff game a little bit because you need to win this one if you have any chance of winning the Mid-Illini.
Yeah, especially if you're Metamora, right? You don't want to start 0-2 in conference play after the solid start that they had. And you kind of hit it on it, John. Two very different results back in last week's contest for each of these teams. Rivalry game for Metamora didn't go their way. Washington handily won that one. The other side, though, for Morton, going in and dominating Canton, that's a really good way to bounce back after some really tough state-ranked opponents to open their year. Both teams would really like to have this one to table set the rest of the season.
They certainly would, and you mentioned opposite games last week, and last week we didn't see either of Shondon Buffington, Morton's star running back, nor did we see Metamora's star running back, Jadon Cranford. Cody, both those players' game time decisions tonight is a major storyline we're looking into.
Yeah, and it really changes what Morton will try and do offensively. Obviously, if they do play in, they won't be in at 100%, so it's still going to be somewhat offense by committee for the Potters tonight. And if they don't play, obviously that's going to be more exaggerated. That allows this Legion of Zoom defense for Metamora to get set, and as you know, they've got some dangerous weapons on offense for Morton.
They certainly do. It all starts with their sophomore quarterback, Isaac Davis. Again, first year of starting, he's accounted for well over half of the team's offense so far.
Yeah, to me, that's going to be the biggest key to victory tonight for the Redbirds. They're going to have to rush, but not flush him out of the quarterback, out of his spot down there at quarterback. You want to keep him in the pocket, make him beat you with his arm in some throwing lanes where this really good Metamora defense can try and capitalize on those routes. If he gets outside the pocket today and is able to run downfield for any capacity of space, it could be a long night for Metamora.
Certainly, and looking at Metamora's side, big strength for the Redbirds. Their Legion of Zoom defense, like you mentioned, Cody. Also, their linebacking core, all of which is back, led by Cam Nickel, the number 11 ranked linebacker in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, and that's never a bad thing, right? Experience on defense goes a long way, especially at the high school level. Repetitions, being able to scout the opposing team's offense, that's going to be kind of the battle tonight, right, is solving each other's kind of puzzles. Is Metamora going to be able to kind of close the running lanes? Because that's what Morton's going to want to do. They're the Hogs up front, nicknamed also the Hogs, trying to shut down those running lanes. On the same side, can Morton kind of navigate those shorthanded possibly in the backfield?
Certainly is. All shaping up to be a beauty here at Malone Field. Our WMBD Game of the Week right here on CIProud.com. Take a quick break and come right back after this. I'm here with 3 members of the Metamora Redbirds offense and defense as well. Evan, Kyle, Stephen, Peter, Jadon Cranford all here with me, and all members of Metamora's 3-headed rushing attack that many of you saw last week. And, you know, guys, I know that the rushing attack is such a big part of your guys' team and everything. You know, where does it all just kind of come from? Is that just the Metamora brand of football?
Yeah, for sure. You know, we have a long history. You know, power run's kind of our thing. You know, we like to dominate the offensive side of the ball by running it, you know, set the tone. You know, a big part of that's our O-line, you know, blocking up front, and then we have us 3 back there, you know, making plays.
Certainly, and Steven, obviously, as the quarterback, you're also a pretty strong runner yourself. You like to kind of go out and seek contact sometimes a little bit. Tell me a bit about that, and has anyone ever told you to maybe say, you know, hey, maybe avoid those big hits, you're a QB?
No, I definitely like going for contact. I don't think I've really had any of my coaches tell me not to go for it. I mean, they know I like to run hard, and, I mean, I don't think they have a problem with it. I haven't gotten hurt yet, so.
Hey. Well, fingers crossed that you do stay healthy. And, you know, I know for you a little bit last season, you're kind of the 2-point specialist. You're also the team's kind of punter as well. And, you know, you kind of do a little bit of everything to kind of help this team.
Yeah, I mean, just filling in where I need to. Just wherever they need me, I'll do it. It doesn't matter.
Definitely. And Jadon, obviously, you know, for you, a lot of people looking at you right now, obviously you're one of the fastest guys around alongside, you know, Evan. And just, you know, tell me a little bit about your running style. I know a lot of people have seen it, but again, you're still only a junior. So, you know, maybe people haven't even seen the best of you yet.
You know, just working, you know, just trying to get open in the open field, you know, just trying to find the openings and just running fast, you know.
Definitely, it's all about that speed. And, you know, guys, I know we were talking a little bit about some NFL stuff before we talked here. Maybe who's a guy, running back or quarterback, who runs the ball in NFL that you really like, maybe you emulate your game after?
Christian McCaffrey.
And why?
He's just, I don't know, he's a powerful runner. He kind of does a little bit of everything. He can catch, you know, he can truck, he can juke, he just does it all.
Definitely. Steven, what about you?
I guess we're on the quarterback side of things. I think Tim Tebow ran pretty hard, so I'd say I like him.
It's a good pick. Jadon, what about you?
Bryce Hall, for sure, yeah.
Definitely. And, you know, and Jadon, obviously, I know you got the Illinois shirt on. I know you've been going to some pretty big-name colleges here, you know, this fall. Tell me about what that kind of whole experience has been like.
It's been pretty good, you know, going around talking to coaches, you know, just the atmosphere and stuff like that. I really like it a lot.
Definitely, and obviously your Instagram handle, D1Jadon, does that kind of motivate you to, you know, reach that level?
Yeah, for sure, yeah. I really, you know, just had that level of wanting to get to the next level since freshman year, so just try to do it now, yeah.
Certainly, well, he's well on his way, and also, you know, you guys too as well, making a big impact with Metamora, but also looking to, I know, move on to the next level too as well. Evan, I know you're looking, you got some offers too, I believe, right?
Yeah, I've been looking at some, you know, schools up like around here, up in Chicago, you know, some D2, D3, NAIA level schools. So, you know, I'm not really sure what that looks for me yet, but, you know, I want to keep playing, so I'm just keeping my options open for right now.
Definitely, and, you know, backtracking a little bit, not looking forward to college, but looking forward to this game, obviously, on Friday. You know, big game against Morton. You know, what do you think is going to be a big key for you guys on Friday?
I think dominating the line of scrimmage, you know, offensively and defensively is going to be really big for us. You know, we struggled, you know, against Washington a little bit on the line of scrimmage. They had, you know, they were really big up front. They have one of the best D-lines around. So, you know, I think if we get that taken care of, we'll be in good shape.
Certainly.
Yeah, I agree with him. I mean, I think we got him beat in our skill position. So if we can just, I mean, I know what our linemen are capable of. I know they can get the job done. So as long as we just stay on task and get what we need done, I think we should be good.
Yeah, just adding what they said, just dominating up front, just getting away from the mistakes a lot. Yeah, so just that.
Well, either way, it should be a great game again. Redbirds and Potters at Malone Field here in Metamora. Guys, back up to you in the booth.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime.
After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams,
Your stories.
Your stats and standings.
your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts.
As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds.
CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action.
More stories.
More coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
And welcome in live to Malone Field here in Metamora. The sun is setting. Potters, Redbirds ready to kick off. Jonathan Michael alongside Cody Roskins here in the booth with you. Cody, what a sight. I mean, this is about as good as it gets. Mid-September, weather's perfect, and some good football coming our way.
Yeah, both crowds are still starting to fill in. Been a good showing from the Morton side over on the opposite end of us here in the press box. Of course, the home bleachers filling up rapidly as well. It'll be a good night for some football.
It certainly should be. We've already gone through our national anthem, and a good crowd here on hand. The Morton sideline is just about completely full. Their students, it's neon at night for them, and the Redbirds, it looks like it's Hawaiian night for them. I always like to see what those student sections bring, and two of the best in the area, two of overall best fan bases in the area as well, and they, for good reason, they have lots to cheer about each year. Both these teams come in this year with high expectations.
Yeah, and that's kind of the rhythm through this part in the season, right, is both these teams come with high expectations. Morton gets off to the slow start, 0-2, Rochelle, Muhammad Seymour. And then on the other end, you look at Metamora, and of course they get off to the 2-0 start. LaSalle Peru, they get a good win. And then they run into rival Washington last week. Didn't go well for them, but they're trying to bounce back.
They certainly are, and after last week, let's see what it did to the Mid-Illini standings. Obviously, still very early, as you see the Metamora student section as well. East Peoria, just like we all predicted, is at the top of the standings. What a great season for the Raiders. And Cody, by the way, their game against Canton tonight, our small town throwdown. You can listen to that on ClutchSportsIL.com as well. Pekin, after a big win over Dunlap, has slotted in at number 2. And again, even for the teams like Metamora, Morton, these teams that are a game or two back, it's still plenty of time to make up some ground.
Right. The old saying is you can't win the district title or conference title in September, but you can definitely lose it. And so both these teams tonight trying to establish some table-setting culture into the latter part of the season again, almost to the halfway point really here in the high school football season. So again, you can't win a conference in September, but you can definitely lose it. So both these teams trying to find some firm footing tonight.
Definitely, you look at the other Mid-Illini games tonight. Washington's at Pekin. Our John Camosa is at that game, so we'll be retweeting his social media updates on X, formerly Twitter. You can follow him at JCOM91. And again, also East Peoria Canton. Listen to that live. Dalton Carmine has the call with a guest color commentator from Canton, and then Dunlap is at Limestone tonight. So really looking forward to seeing what is going to happen in this Mid-Illini conference tonight, Cody. And, you talked about losing the conference. Obviously, Morton, a big win against Canton last week, and I think, right now, tough conference, Mid-Illini. You're 1-2. You're really not going to say need, but you might need this win tonight in order to try and get those 5 wins for the playoffs, because not many games are guaranteed in this conference this year.
Yeah, and that's the nice part, right, about getting 2 really quality opponents if you're Morton to start the year. There weren't going to be any mysteries about what you are or what you aren't after those handful of games. Muhammad Seymour and Rochelle, 2 very contrasting styles of play, both state-ranked opponents, getting a lot of Gardner here in the state of Illinois. But again, no mysteries after or what you are or what you aren't after those games. The same thing can be said for Metamora. They took on LaSalle Peru, and then, of course, after getting shelled by Washington last week, they're now back into the game plan of trying to run the football and trying to establish that defense in that back end again, because they're going to go up against a team that's going to want to run the ball tonight in Morton.
They certainly do, and I think it's going to be overall a pretty ground-heavy game. These are 2 teams that do like to run the ball, and they can do it with a variety of different players, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers even. I think we're going to see a lot of folks carrying the rock tonight.
Yeah, and some of that's going to be just by true volume of carries, but it's also going to be situational running, right? Short yardage. Yeah, you might have your short yardage back in there, a little thunder behind the pads as well, but there'll be chances to get your athletes out in space, get your big, heavy runners behind some linemen, because both these teams are blessed with some big bodies up front, and that's where the game's going to be won and lost tonight.
Certainly, we saw Metamora at Washington last week. Redbirds dropped that game 37-7. It's a game that came under the line of scrimmage, without a doubt, but I think just real quick, I think that Metamora game, maybe the scoreboard didn't quite tell the full story. It was 10-7. Redbirds were only down 3 points about midway through the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, and that's, unfortunately for them, kind of where things started to cascade, and that's going to be the big bounce-back feature of tonight for Metamora, right? Did you learn your lesson from last week? Are you going to compound mistakes tonight? If you have a procedure penalty, is it going to lead to another, or perhaps a loss of yardage? That's going to be the big tell tonight, and for Metamora, more often than not, they've answered those calls.
They certainly have, and just look at this scene. Take it in, ladies and gentlemen. Great work by our camera crew here in Metamora, showing you the sights and the sounds of tonight's game. We'll take a quick break here on the WMBD Game of the Week on CIProud.com and come right back with more pregame coverage and kickoff at 7:30 right here on CIProud.com.
The Bob Grimm way starts with us.
The Bob Grimm experience, what I like is that, you put customers first, make sure we meet every expectation and make a long-lasting relationship with them so that, they know that we're here for them and for their friends and family.
Don't try to put someone in a car that is not going to work for them. If you don't have what they want, try to get it, the proper vehicle. Again, just treat people the way you'd want to be treated and a fair deal.
That's the Bob Grimm way.
At Papa John's, we start with better. Like taking marinated oven-roasted chicken and tossing it in our hot lemon pepper sauce. Or how we hand toss our fresh, never frozen signature dough made from 6 simple ingredients. And now our dough can save you dough when you order from the Papa Pairings menu. Get 2 or more Papa Pairings favorites for just $6.99 each. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's. Order now on the app.
And welcome back to Metamora. The Morton Potters and the Metamora Redbirds set to kick off here in just a few minutes. Glad you're with us here, our WMBD Game of the Week on CIProud.com. Again, Jonathan Michael, Cody Roskins joining me in the booth. And Cody, we're talking, it's been a while since we've called a game together, and it's good to be back in the booth with you as well.
Yeah, it used to be a regular Friday tradition, now less common with us moving on, but yeah, a little over a year, but nice to get in the booth with you, John, and tonight we've got a good one.
We certainly do, and we talked about, both these teams have played some great opponents this year, and let's take a look at the AP statewide poll this week for Class 5A. We talked about through 3 weeks, you can kind of get a beat on some of these teams, and especially reflective in the poll, becomes a little bit more accurate this season as it goes along. Neither of these teams in the top 10. Metamora, though, still receiving votes, as is Muhammad Seymour, who Morton faced, and you see Rochelle and they're at number 10. They make their entrance into the poll 2 weeks after beating the Morton Potters 36-8. So, again, great teams, great lessons these teams have learned. Also look at Peoria High. They got up into the number 6 spot after a big win over Morris last week.
Yeah, regional football is really on a high note right now around Central Illinois with a chance to get even a little bit better. Like you said, if Peoria High, either Metamora, kind of obviously their loss last week hurt them in that regard, but still plenty of time to make it up and jump into some state rankings if that's going to be in their path in the future. And there's going to be some other teams in the Mid-Illini that'll have that opportunity as well.
Definitely, and look at some of these key players we're going to be talking about tonight, Cody. For Morton, Central Illinois, meet Isaac Davis, sophomore quarterback for the Morton Potters, has been a force for them on offense this year, Cody. Get a look at his numbers. 518 total yards, split almost right down the middle in terms of rushing and passing, and 7 TDs as well.
Yeah, normally it's not an awesome thing if your quarterback's the one out there almost leading your team in rushing yards. It means your quarterback's taking quite a few hits, but an athletic guy like this, not really the case. He's a guy that gets out into space, causes problems for defensive ends and defensive tackles in the contained game. Obviously, big key tonight for both you and I has been you got to make him beat you from inside the pocket. If he's going to get outside and have some open space, could be a long night.
Definitely, and for Metamora's key player, a player that one of actually many players that was a bit banged up in that game against Washington. As you see the Redbirds taking the field now, the artificial turf, as you see the banner lay down the Potters. I like the creativity there from Metamora. But their key player tonight, Cam Nickel, a player that missed a couple of snaps last week, but still put up 8 tackles, and he is the heart and soul of that defense, that middle linebacker.
Yeah, and we're gonna see him a lot and call his name a lot tonight in the run support game. But make no mistake about it, he's a really good athlete. He's gonna have some opportunities to probably spy tonight to try and keep some of the Morton offensive playmakers in check. Because at the end of the day, Potters will be working shorthanded. It sounds like at tailback at some spots, missing a couple of their main guys in the backfield. But at the same time, we'll see him in coverage majority of the time in run support and a little bit in the QB spy game tonight.
Nickel, a big hard hitter, Western Illinois commit. He's headed to Macomb next year. Let's take a look at our tail of the tape. What both teams have kind of done in this body of work so far. Morton's offense overall not too terribly bad, scoring about 32 points per game. Helps they scored 53 last week against Canton, giving up though 37 and about 37 and a half or so. Metamora, they've been a little bit of a lower scoring team, playing some lower scoring games, scoring 19, giving up about 20. So, if it's a lower scoring game, I think it favors Metamora, and the reverse is true for Morton. As our coin toss, brought to you by Hometown Community Banks, was won by the Redbirds. They elected to defer, and it will be the Morton Potters receiving this kickoff, which is brought to you by Michael's Italian Feast. I want to thank them and all of our sponsors here for tonight's broadcast. Glad you're with us again, whether you tuned in at the start of the broadcast or just before kickoff. Ready for dandy between the M&M teams of the Mid-Illini.
Yeah, John, one of your points about the scoring in this series, the winning team in this series dating back to, I believe it's 2014, has scored a minimum of 35 points in each of the contests. And so tonight could be a contrast of those kind of styles. Metamora may have to get up and down tonight.
Certainly, a kick is away from Tommy Sopko, and it's brought in at the 20, is bobbled. It's on the ground. Metamora, I think, has that football.
Well,
it's on the ground for precious seconds, and the Redbirds pounced on top.
Well, coming into tonight, you knew that turnovers were probably going to be a big factor. Both these defenses are very opportunistic. Morton had a handful last week. The Legion of Zoom gets its nickname for a reason. And here on the opening kickoff, kind of an in-between kick, right? Falls around at the 20. Going to be first down.
So look at the Metamora offense here. After this snap, we'll meet their starters, led out by Stephen Petrie, their junior quarterback. So a gift for the Redbirds nearly in the Potters' red zone. That's one wide receiver. That's Avery Grebner, I believe, at the top of the screen. Handoff goes to Evan Kyle. And he picks up a couple. Let's meet those Redbird starters.
Jadon Cranford, junior, running back. Avery Grebner, senior, wide receiver.
Landon Cowper, senior, left tackle.
Evan Kyle, junior, running back.
Evan Grove, freshman, right guard.
Riley Jackson, senior, tight end.
Eden Cote, senior, wide receiver.
Owen Cullen, senior, left guard.
Riley Blue, junior, right tackle.
Stephen Petrie, junior, quarterback.
Owen Cabell, junior.
Second and medium for the Redbirds. That's another give to Kyle. Picks up short yardage. And Cody, again, big storyline coming into the game. Is Jadon Cranford healthy, and is Shonen Buffington healthy so far? Both carries have gone to Kyle. We're looking for number 1 in black. Again, Cranford did not play last week.
Yeah, so I'm in warm-ups. Obviously, there's a few injury question marks about both these teams, so I'll be kind of curious to see how it shakes out.
3rd and 4. As the keeper by Petrie, he bulls over a defender, keeps it going. Still going to be short, though. But, boy, he gave a nice effort. I believe that was against Tate Sherman.
Yeah, it's a good run here. He's going to be a couple of yards short. And didn't get the greatest spot on that. Looks like they've bumped it back maybe a half yard. But if I'm Metamora, I'm strongly thinking about going for this. One, it makes a statement on this first drive. And one, if you convert or excuse me, don't convert, you've already pinned Morton back. So it's essentially like taking time off the clock and a bad kickoff.
Definitely. It's 4th and 3. Redbirds are going for it from the Ashley Furniture Home Store red zone. Petrie with one wide receiver. Give to Kyle. They trust their running back. He's going to be very close. A massive humanity. And judging by the zebra spots, Cody, I'm not sure he got it.
Yeah, Morton's defense, give them a ton of credit coming into tonight. They've done a really good job so far this season in spots, and obviously some of their scores are a little slanted to the teams they've played. But, again, big part of stopping this Metamora offense up front is you got to close the running gaps, get into those linemen, try and shut it down, and that time we're able to do so.
Big stop for the Potters. Let's look at the keys to the game. For the Potters, it's don't trip themselves and be opportunistic. They don't want to shoot themselves in the foot too much. And they also want to try and get some points off of turnovers.
Well, they tripped on the opening kickoff, and that didn't take long, but they were opportunistic on defense. Got the ball right back.
And for Metamora, as the Potters offense has their first play, it's a pass from Davis. He dropped it near the sidelines. For Metamora, it's controlling the line of scrimmage and being ready for a lot of different things they could see from the Potters tonight.
Yeah, again, some names, game time decisions tonight for Morton, but this offensive line doesn't change, right? It doesn't matter who's in the backfield. Big guys up front, got to open up holes in the running game. This is a Morton offense that loves to run the ball, but they'll throw it a little bit here and there.
So 2nd and 10. There's another swing pass. Brought it and upended. Looked like that was Silas Steffen on the catch, and boy, he got a big hit laid into him.
Yeah, and that's a really good play by Metamora, right? They kind of have that QB choice into the flat. He's going to roll out. If he doesn't see anything, he's going to keep it himself. If not, it's almost like a mock RPO to check that down. And Metamora's defense, again, quick to the ball. It's going to be a big point tonight.
So 3rd and 10. Defense has been coming to play on both sides tonight. Davis has 3 wide receivers. Keep an eye on Julian Alexander, number 17. He's one of their best. Here's a pass up the middle, and it's not going to reach the first down. Brought down there by Kevin Barker with their defensive tackle.
Yeah, they fake a screen into the flat instead of on the tunnel screen behind it. Nice playing concept if you can get that linebackers to kind of flow with the running back that way. That time weren't fooled. A little extra effort made it 4th down and medium, but still not enough to really weigh the dice here.
Cody, one thing I just noticed, Jadon Cranford was on the field. Again, Cranford does play cornerback too, so maybe he just didn't get those first couple carries, but it looks like he's active. That's a good sign for the Redbirds. This punt bounces at about the 46, rolls to about the 40. Before it's downed by the Potters. And again, Cody, last week, as we get a look at the Metamora defense, actually.
Will Mishler, senior, defensive end.
Cal Morrison, junior, defensive line.
Kevin Barker, senior, defensive tackle.
Evan Kyle, senior, defensive end.
Cam Nichol, senior, linebacker.
Brad Schock, senior, linebacker.
Shay Seals, senior, linebacker.
Avery Grebner, senior, defensive back.
Braden Bittner, junior, defensive back.
Mark Frederick, senior, DB.
Stephen Petrie, junior.
And an interception by Morton just as we get back. That was Cole Rinkenberger, the all-conference cornerback, picking the ball off. And that's actually the brother of one of our camera operators tonight, Quinn Rinkenberger. Our Josh Messenger pointing that out.
Yeah, just kind of breaking down the play there, John. They have the action inside. Instead, try to throw that backside in route. Not really there. It was there for a moment, but really good positioning by Morton. Allows that kind of leverage to get taken away. And thus, even turnover battle again.
Both teams have turned the ball over once in the first couple minutes. Here's a handoff to Buffington. He's active tonight. And he picks up a short gain. Buffington did play those first 2 games, Cody, but overall wasn't as effective as we're used to seeing from him.
Right. Well, his standard's a little higher than maybe those others around the area, and so that's no knock against him. And again, still not really sure that he's 100% tonight, but you're going to try and gut it out. We were told they're going to try and test him through warm-ups, and so far he's feeling good enough to go.
Came in with a bit of a shoulder injury, but feeling good, and good to see that we have seen Cranford and Buffington on the field. Davis in the shotgun with 4 wide receivers. Run an option play out to the right, got some speed, and he's past the sticks. Metamora hog pilot on top of him, trying to bring him down. As that turnover was brought to you by Force Basements, and see some toughness there from Isaac Davis, 6'1", 180. And it looks like Maybe a flag, Cody. I think this might be coming back.
Yeah, and that's the tricky part, right? When you try and get out wide, get those almost C-gap running lanes. And for as good of an offensive line that Morton has, Metamora's defense is still very athletic. They might not be the biggest bunch out there, but they're extremely quick sideline to sideline, and that allows for a lot of maybe grabbing the jerseys or pulling from the shoulder pads down. That kind of plagues some of the offenses they go against.
So it'll make it second and about, spot foul, do the math, but second and about 17 or so from their own 44. Two-man in the backfield. Sort of an H-back there. I believe that's Barnes. Handoff goes to Buffington, falls forward up to about midfield.
Yeah, and this sets up the situation that Metamora wants to be in, right? Third and behind the chains on defense. That allows their pass rushers to get upfield, but this is going to be the first real big test. Do we see the guys from Morton try and open things up, spread them out, and allow him to run the ball?
Got to keep an eye, especially on Morton. For their wide receivers, they like to run the football, especially with Alexander and Ringenberg. Here is another option play to the left. Goes to Buffington. In pursuit is Barbarinas, I think it was, and he's going to be very close, Cody.
Yeah, about 2 yards, maybe 2.5 yards shy. Still looking down the line, and they're going to mark him back at the 40, call it 43, it looks like. So fair amount to go here on fourth down, but again, this is one of those spots where if you're going to try and capitalize on some of these mistakes, you kind of roll the dice every once in a while.
Both teams have gone for it on fourth down. We'll see how Morton fares in their first shot at it. Metamora loaded the box. Davis trying to string it out. Seals in pursuit. Davis knocked down. Big hit in front of his own sideline. It'll be Redbird football again.
Yeah, I don't know if that was necessarily a broken play or not, but it looked like all the skill position players were in motion in live play, and half the offensive line maybe didn't get the memo. Still, though, Davis has a ton of speed, as we saw right there. Just a sophomore, 6'1", 180, and tries to leg it out to the sideline. But for the second time, Metamora's defense and secondary has come up and made the play in space.
That was a nice play. Didn't see who it was immediately on the tackle, but it was a big hit. It looked like, again, Seals was in pursuit. Could have been Brad Schalk, potentially, who had a team-high 11 tackles last week, part of that returning starter group on Metamora's linebackers. Redbirds take over at the 42. Handoff goes to Kyle. He's wrapped up by a trio of Potters. And let's meet the Metamora head coach, Cody Jared Grebner, 5th season as the Redbirds head coach. And every year he's been here, he's increased the Redbirds win total.
Yeah, not a bad trade as the head coach, right? Not his first time around the block, knows the Mid-Illini well now, some of the area schools in the non-conference. And so this is kind of the point, right? You've established your identity as a team, time to display it.
There's 2nd and 9 now. That run for Kyle, just getting a yard. Longest play in this game has only been about maybe 6 or 7 yards. Petrie going to keep it. Gets across the line of scrimmage and not much further. A whole host of Potters were there, including Gideon Snyder and Rinkenberger.
Right, and that's another thing that Metamora's going to have to watch in this one, right? You got two quarterbacks that can really run the ball, but sideline to sideline speed for both defenses is so good. That's a good play there, sets you up in third and manageable.
Picked up about 5 yards there. Petrie coming into tonight, Cody, had the most rushing attempts on this Redbirds team. And also features again Jadon Cranford and Evan Kyle, so Petrie loves to run the ball, likes to get downhill, and he embraces contact, as we kind of saw that there. 3rd and medium, just shy of midfield. Petrie dropping back, maybe looking to throw. Scanning, in trouble. He's got to get rid of it, brought down by the back of his jersey. Yes, good second effort to reach out, but still short.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's going to gain a whole lot on that second effort, besides put him closer to midfield. But that time, it's kind of the smart decision. There's not a ton there. You don't want to force something into some space. But again, you see the speed from Morton getting sideline to sideline, some rush up the middle, gets Petrie out of the pocket, and going to force another punt.
4th and 3, but in their own territory. Redbirds will elect not to go for it, so they will have Petrie, who wears a lot of different hats for this Metamora team. Quarterback, free safety, and punter, punted away. High snap coming his way. He got it off somehow. Doesn't go very far, but Metamora is going to be glad that they just didn't get that one blocked.
Yeah, and John, this is going to sound really speculative, but in the pregame, I was watching how long and timing how long it takes for Metamora's special teams unit to, one, snap the ball, to the punter, and then for the punter to get it off. It takes about 3.5 seconds there on their units to get the ball from the long snapper to the punter. So going to be some opportunities for Morton tonight if they don't pick that up.
Yeah, definitely. When it just the using a golf term, the launch angle was kind of high and it's kind of floated up in the air, and Petrie just barely got it off. Handoff. Not much doing right there. Buffington was throwing some good blocks against Jadon. Cranford as well. Those two are still talking. Can only assume that it's relatively good-natured, but you never know. As we take a look at the Morton head coach, Adam O'Neill, in his second season. He was a 2016 state champion here in Illinois with Peoria High, also a state champion at Manhattan, Kansas, where he was up until last year.
Yeah, it brings a really tough identity to this team. They really embrace that in terms of running the ball and how they fill their gaps on defense.
O'Neill has a lot of things that he likes, as is Davis wrapped up there by Sam Barbarinas, junior defensive end, has played well this season. You know, O'Neill, you look at his Twitter, his name on Twitter is Coach O'Neill, and it quotes turnover D. So he loves forcing turnovers. He likes, you know, the Hogs being tough up front, living up to their name. And he also likes throwing a lot of different looks at people on both ends, just like Peoria High does.
Yeah, so far it hasn't been a ton of different looks. Been a lot of speed option to the sideline, but finally going to get a drop back attempt.
And he'll come on 3rd and 7. Davis looking for somebody. Ball is up in the air, and Rinkenberger, or rather, that was 11. That was Silas Steffen, brought it in. But, again, Seals was right there on kind of a tip trail play.
Now, the viewer at home, you go back and watch that play. Yes, Metamora comes with pressure, but it's only after Davis decides to roll out to one side or the other. And that's how you get him to get the ball out before he really wants to. And that's going to be a biggest key tonight for this Metamora defense. Obviously, tackling in space is one, but you got to keep that guy in the pocket before he hurts you with his legs.
Yeah, we talked about rush, don't flush. Punt is away by Trey Zobrist. That's a good one. Back to the 20. Here comes, that's Grebner, I believe, out to about the 25, where he's brought down by Snyder, Cody. First half flying by, and it's been all defense in this one.
Right, well, it happens when both teams are here to run the football, right? They want to establish that line of scrimmage. They kind of have the philosophy to run to open up the pass. Not that either team really airs it out a ton, but they've got weapons outside too, and they'll get their shots their way before this one's over.
I haven't seen a ton of completed passes. There was that one to Steffen, first play of Morton's game back in the, in about 10 minutes or so. Again, in case you're just tuning in, Morton fumbled the opening kickoff. Metamora took over at the 23. Could not capitalize. Here's a short run out to the right side by Kyle.
Only gain of 2, and again, those are the kind of runs in the second quarter, third quarter, then the fourth quarter turn into those 3, 4, 8-yard gains. And that's kind of what Metamora is hoping for tonight. Like you said, they want to own possession. They want to really take it at this Morton front.
And we saw that last week against Washington. Washington didn't really fare too terribly well in the run game until the second half, when they just wore Metamora down. As another short gain, they'll make it 3rd and long. But it was clear that the effect that it had on the Metamora defense. So maybe they're trying to maybe play a little copycat with their Mid-Illini rival.
Yeah, and I guess, and here, this is where the tricky spot is, right? You run it on first down, get them about 2 to 3 yards, but then on second down, don't gain much. So now you're in 3rd and 8, right? It's really tough as a play caller to say, all right, we got to run the ball here again, because defense for Morton's really good about getting downhill and to the outside. So maybe this is where you take one of your play action chances, but again, you can't get into that rhythm of 3rd and long, always throwing the ball. So it's a tough decision.
Yeah, there have been a couple of 3rd and longs, 2 wide receivers for Petrie, actually rather 3. Grebner's in the slot. Man in motion there for Metamora. And will be a pass. It's out to Eden Cote, who breaks it free. And he shakes the tackle. There goes Eden Cote to the house. 73 yards and no flags.
Yeah, not a ton special about the play itself, John. It's just a little hitch route right in front of the marker. Your big hope is you can throw that to the back shoulder or inside shoulder and have him turn it up the field. Guess what? Exactly what happened. Morton didn't really wrap up well in space. That's what's going to cost you in this game. A lot of athletes.
Cote hadn't had a catch for the last 2 weeks, but he takes it 73 yards there for the score. And this Metamora crowd is fired up, and so we'll get the PAT coming from Tommy Sopko, who's a all-conference tennis player from Metamora as well. Snap is good. Hold is good. Kick is also good. So big play there for Metamora, Cody. And yeah, anytime you can have those big plays, it'll help. That's, I think, at least 3 straight weeks they've had a touchdown of at least 70 or more yards.
Yeah, and again, that's a big function of what they do prior to that play. Everyone's going to look at the play that scored, right, and be like, yeah, long score. You know, the medium route that turns into the long game, that's all well and good. But it's because they were able to get into a down and distance where they could have that intermediate route and not have to throw the ball really past the sticks. That really makes that an option.
Definitely. And I was talking with Jared Grebner before our game last week. Again, that scoring drive brought to you by Papa John's. I want to thank them for supporting tonight's broadcast in high school sports. But I was talking with him about Stephen Petrie. He said in the first game of the season against Sterling, he put some balls right on the money in the perfect spot where receivers can just turn up field and go rather than having to reach behind him. And again, that little hitch route right there, put it in a good spot. Cote made a move. Morton just over-pursued a little bit, and Cote was able to burn them. So, again, Petrie doesn't need to throw it long. His receivers can make some plays.
Yeah, we had hinted on it. There's plenty of athletes on both sides of the field. We just really haven't seen a ton of that from either side because both are so quarterback run game centric, and they have some axillary kind of players that play off of that in the backfield. But, again, anything happens in the middle line, you have to be ready for, like you said, anything, John.
So Metamora draws first blood, but game far from over. Sapko will kick it away. We'll see how the Potters receive this. It's another short one brought in at the 24. Return man out across the 35 and some more. There goes Steffen out down to the 45 after a Potters push.
Yeah, I did a little bit more than a push on the end of that one. Trucked over one man, kept the legs turning, and really good net positive return here for Morton. But at the end of the day, Metamora kick team, you got to like what you've seen a little bit so far. You forced that kind of short kickoff, and now Morton seemed to respond and putting some more athletes up there in the up back position.
And we've seen a good game so far from Silas Steffen, the junior for the Potters. Also a good basketball player for head coach Abe Zeller's group as well. First play here, good run by SV and Seams for a couple. Seams shouldered most of the workload last week, again without Buffington. Comes in tonight with nearly 100 yards and a touchdown. Set up about second and medium from the 41. It's a straight rush by Davis. And he keeps those legs turning forward, and it might be enough to move the chains.
Yeah, and that's the really tough thing about this quarterback run game, John, is that in theory, right, it just eliminates one more person on defense that's responsible for a man. You get 10 blocking on 11. Quarterback's only got to make one guy miss to make the math work out, and that time did.
And we have a player down. Looks like it's for Metamora, so we'll kind of reset the scene for you here. Again, Jonathan Michael, Cody Roskins in the booth with you. WMBD Game of the Week. Glad you're with us. And I'm assuming most of you probably saw that long touchdown pass. Stephen Petrie to Eden Cote, 73 yards. Both teams had a couple 3-and-outs. But again, defensive stand by Morton, that first drive of the game after they turned it over, came up huge because if Metamora ends up scoring there, they're Powers are looking at a 14-0 deficit after one on the road in a game that, again, not a capital M must win, but one that will be very important. So,
yeah, definitely lowercase and italicized, maybe even a little bolded on there because, like you said, starting kind of slow in the conference, especially the Mid-Illini, where it's really hard to get these quality games back if you let them slip away. Metamora knows that last week. Got a really good chance to take a firm grip on the Mid-Illini with a big chance at Washington. Didn't get it. Same thing with Morton, but they were able to get that done against Canton. And now this time, like you said, there's a big difference between 1-1 in the Mid-Illini and 0-2.
There certainly is. That player for Metamora that was shaken up was Cam Nickel again. That's the second straight week that Nickel has been shaken up, holding kind of around his wrist area. Certainly hope he's okay. Senior, big senior for this Metamora Redbirds defense. Our key player to watch coming into tonight.
Yeah, hopefully he's okay. He brings a lot to this defense, not just physically.
Run by Buffington, shot out of a cannon, up to the 25, up to about a gain of 8. And this is already one of the better games we've seen from Buffington so far, Cody. One of my catchphrases last year I coined, it's tough to stuff Buff. And he shows off there, spin move, breaks a tackle down to the 10.
Yeah, and right now there's just far too much tackling up around the midsection right now if you're Metamora. They got to get lower. Buffington's a guy that honestly has that leg power to kind of spin out of stuff, torque out of things, and right now he's churning some butter.
Morton going quick. Davis, the keeper, running behind Lamar and Donnelly on the offensive line, and not much doing there. 4 new starters for Morton on this defensive line. Soren Pfeiffer at left tackle, and Aiden Lamar, 2 big fellas of those 4, 6'6", 250, 6'5", 275, respectively. Davis, and with a line to the end zone, he reaches it. Metamora gives up a score to the Potters, and we got a tie ball game pending the extra point here. Nice run, nice speed from Davis.
Yeah, and that time, again, his speed strikes again, able to get to the edge, and Metamora, for as well as they've played up front so far, just sometimes that outside contain's been a little leaky, and that time it cost them 6.
And Redbirds were in pursuit, but Davis got the angle, beat him to the end zone. So we'll see what the Potters do here. They've done a little bit of both, going for 2 and going for the PAT. They will kick it here with Kasier. That kick is no good. Had plenty of leg, but not the accuracy. So Metamora, broadcasters Jinx Cody, holds on to their 1-point lead.
Yeah, and again, just an unfortunate break, but still a really good drive for Morton. A lot of things that you liked. Run blocking was established. They got the quarterback run game going. So now Metamora has to be conscious of both players in the backfield if they weren't already. And sooner or later, Davis isn't going to run the ball, and he's going to play action fake and probably have some people open along that back end.
Yeah, and that scoring drive brought to you by Papa John's. Went about 45 yards, about 1:36 seconds for the Potters. Again, missed extra point, though. You never know how it could affect the game. We saw week 2, our game of the week, normal U-High and Bloomington. There was a missed PAT that ended up affecting how the latter parts of that game were played. That one was a back-and-forth classic. Seen some good games here on our CIProud.com this year. Last week was obviously, the furthest separation, 30-point game, but was pretty close for about 2.5 quarters. I think we might get another close one tonight. Kick is away, end over end, and refs blow this dead. This might be against Morton, Cody.
Yeah, there's probably going to be offsides on the kickoff. Looks like one of them got a little eager, but doesn't do a whole lot of damage outside of maybe net another 4 or 5 on this kick.
Overall, those penalties, you never want them, but probably the ones that hurt you the least, especially if you can have a good kick coverage team. Back deep for Metamora is Kyle, sitting at about the 14. And you got Grebner at about the 24. Looks like potentially Cranford as well at the 24. A line drive kick. And it's fumbled initially down near the sideline. And a big hit, Cody. That almost looked really bad, but I think he's all right. Redbirds will start at the 30. Big game here for Metamora, landmark game. Actually, this is their 800th game, Cody. Take a look at what life was like when Metamora played their first football game.
Yeah, definitely kind of some eye-opening things on there. But again, it's just a testament to how good and the tradition's been here at Metamora. 800 games strong, and they're going to be looking to be in a lot more.
Well, you look at top music artists right now, or not right now, back then. Perry Como, Frank Sinatra, the top music artists back in 1946, or Metamora's first year of football. And again, helps that they've made the playoffs 36 of those years. Help you get that game total up. So lots of history here in Redbird country. Should be the last play of the first quarter with 17 ticks left. Petrie, shovel out to Cranford. His first carry tonight is not going much of anywhere. J.J. Barnes and Cole Rinkenberger in on that tackle.
Yeah, again, just trying to get the edge, and the theory there is that'll eventually will open up and spread the splits out of the defensive tackles and open up some more inside run lanes.
And that first quarter in the books. Also brought to you by Sunflower Real Estate. It's a good one here at Malone Field. Redbirds 7, Potters 6. in our WMBD Game of the Week. Right back after this on CIProud.com.
Hi, I'm Webb. I'm the sales manager here at Perfect Choice. We offer windows, siding, roofing, and full bathroom remodels. When you purchase windows from Perfect Choice Exteriors, one of the biggest trends that we've seen in the market with talking with hundreds of homeowners throughout every year is they want something that is going to be able to save them money, not just now, but in the future as well. What sets Perfect Choice apart from all the other companies in the area is we're family owned. We want to come out many times, come and inspect the project, protect your family, protect your home. That's our goal.
That mountain of boxes won't pack itself, but Peoria Production Solutions will. Let us handle your packaging and assembly. Our highly trained team uses computerized inventory control and specialized equipment to ensure your customers receive their items on time. Let us help you grow and scale your business. Give us a call or visit peoriapros.com for a quote today.
And welcome back to Metamora. Second quarter just getting started right now. Redbirds have the ball at their own 29 with a 2nd and 9. Handoff is actually Petrie keeping it. He's getting chased. Gonna throw it. It's complete to the tight end, Riley Jackson.
Yeah, that time just a little simple boot concept. And, John, I tell you what, Petrie had guys open for miles over the middle, but maybe just never felt comfortable with this platform to let it rip. That time, though, eventually found some footing. Big gain.
And last play of that first quarter, we saw Jadon Cranford sort of limped off the field. You see him there getting 10-2 by the Redbirds trainer. So now that's two very, very key Redbirds that have been shaken up. And, again, some of them kind of got dinged up in that very physical game against Washington last week. We'll have to keep an eye on them. 1st and 10 right at midfield. Petrie's got two wide receivers and Kyle next to him. Half goes to the left. Kyle flagged down. Out across the 45. He's wrapped up there by 32. That was Ethan Johnson.
Yeah, I'll be holding against the Redbirds, John. So, again, just when you follow up a really good play, kind of like we saw with Morton, a little bit of a setback. So, Morton was able to respond and get the touchdown eventually out of their drive. Going to see how Metamora responds after one of their first procedure penalties.
So, bring it back again, spot foul, and we'll just go back to standard 10 yards. So, that is the worst case scenario for Metamora. 1st and 20. Morton defense, a lot of new starters there, especially in the secondary. You do bring back Rinkenberger, an all-conference player last year, second team. Also keep an eye on the nose tackle, J.J. Barnes, number 88. Adam O'Neill really high on that young fella. Petrie dropping back, facing some pressure, gets it to Grebner, makes a move, gains a couple, or he's brought down by Paul Weeks, their middle linebacker.
Yeah, kind of similar to what Morton had on their first drive. They tried to sneak the screen out in one way, come back with the tunnel screen the other way, and that's a really good play there on 1st down and long. Able to chop almost of it in half, get it to about 2nd and 15, and so, again, another, call it maybe 8-9 yards here. You're setting yourself up really good on 3rd down.
I think a big key tonight, again, there's always some keys to the game that you never really know are going to be keys until kickoff. And I think tonight is going to be making sure you don't get behind the sticks. A lot of 2nd and 3rd and longs for both teams. Kyle. And he goes outside. He's got maybe enough for the 1st down before he was chased out by Isaac Garza.
Hey, he's going to be right at the sticks. And so just as we were saying, hey, maybe 8 or 9 yards is going to be really good for the line to gain. He's going to just get it by the tip of the football, so it'll be 1st and 10 at the 40. And now the playbook's wide open again for the Redbirds, and maybe they try and dial it up here on a 1st down shot.
Definitely, and, Kyle, so many people see Jadon Cranford, they say, oh, he's so fast, so speedy. Evan Kyle, very fast as well. 3rd in the Mid-Illini in the 100-meter dash back in the spring. You can definitely get those big plays. That one, not the case there. Morton defense ready for it, and J.J. Barnes, that nose tackle, in on the stop.
Yeah, another point on him, though, John, is that he takes his angles so well on the football field. Right there, a lot of players would be tempted to kind of cut it up early, maybe run into a safety or maybe even cut it too wide and run out of real estate. He took the appropriate angle, and maybe the only angle he had to try and get that 1st down.
Quick score update. Our Michael Savoy is at the Normal Community Kankakee game in Kankakee. The K's are leading that game 26-zip midway through the second as Petrie shakes a tackle, and he's still going. There goes Petrie. 4 Potters chasing him. They're not going to catch him. Touchdown, Metamora.
Yeah, I don't know if that was exactly how you draw it up. A little Houdini act coming out of the middle part of the offensive line. But, hey, hats on hats equal good things for the Redbirds' run game that time. Petrie, again, feet don't fail him now. He's got a ton of speed when he does get into the open field. What can you say? Another quality Metamora touchdown drive.
Petrie's second rushing score of the year, and I bet he couldn't believe that he was still going. Just kept on chugging, and again, I think the tackling from both teams might be addressed in the locker room. Cody, again, Petrie, tough guy to bring down, so definitely easy to see why it was tough, but lots of broken tackles by both teams this year. Is Sopko's PAT with a bit of pressure, but it's still up and good. 8-point lead, Metamora.
Yeah, again, just recapping that touchdown drive as a whole, very physical. They had the first down play-action play that really set the table for them, but then Kyle on second down and long able to get him that first, and that opens up the opportunity in the run game following it up. And again, Metamora, both these teams want to be power run teams, but Metamora right now is asserting themselves along the offensive line, and their defensive line is doing just enough in space to allow those cover men to come and help them in the run game defensively.
Definitely, and talking about that Metamora offensive line, very much like Morton's, bring one experienced starter back, but a lot of new guys, a very young line, especially their right guard, Evan Grove, is a freshman. Yeah, you heard that right, freshman started on varsity for Metamora. Again and again, you got the juniors, Riley Blue, right tackle, Owen Cable at center, and a new starter, Owen Cleland, at left guard as well, the senior. He's replacing Ty Dykes, who transferred to Tremont, all-state offensive lineman. Again, that scoring drive brought to you by Papa John's. Now we'll see what Morton's got in their bag of tricks. And seen in this game, you don't need big, long arcing passes through the air to have some big plays. Need the blocks. That might be enough. That one brought in by Steffen at the 20. His third kick return of the evening, and about a 12, 13-yard return. And we'll see what the Potters do, Cody. Again, we've seen a lot of the similar plays, though, a lot of options, and overall, just a lot of, not the same play, but same looking plays.
Right, it's the same philosophy, but the thing is that with both these offenses, they have so many routes and audibles that come off of those plays, right? You have the play action plays. We've seen the boots, the read options. We've seen the RPOs into the flats. And so while to the people at home may look like same formation, they're just running up the middle, maybe just pulling an extra guard, it's setting the table for everything else that stems off of that one play to be used later in the contest.
Just got to see what works. Here's a give to Seams. And he is wrapped up. A great tackle in the backfield there by Brad Schalk.
Yeah, well, I think it's safe to say that one didn't work. But again, the kind of feel here for Morton is they know they've got a really physical offensive line. And so they're okay taking those plays at times because they know later down the road those plays will break open with the more they wear down this Metamora front.
Schalk had a team-high 11 tackles last week. He's got 4 tackles for loss. Make that now 5 as a flag flies.
Yeah, this will be encroachment / offsides. I mean, I guess they don't really call it encroachment anymore. But jumping into the neutral zone, that's going to be 5 free ones for the Potters.
Another quick score update. Our Owen Dimful at Washington, or rather John Camosa is at Washington Peak. Owen Dimful is here writing our game story tonight. All that will be on CSM Overtime. 6-6 between the Panthers and the Dragons right now. Davis swings it out. And we have a flag down. That pass was complete. Number 19 for Morton, that was Eli Ralston, the sophomore.
This is looking like it'll be holding against the Potters. And it looks like they're going to go ahead and pick up the flag, John, so play will stand.
That was either it might have been a timeout possibly called.
Yeah, it looks like down Redbird looked like maybe number 88 in the middle. Trying to get a correct read on the number for you, but So on that play, John, it was kind of odd. They get it to the outside, but it's still the stretch action from the offensive line, and sometimes defensive linemen get rolled up in there because it's much more of a zone kind of feel scheme.
That's Sam Barbarinas, defensive end for Metamora, that's a bit shaken up. And he's a new starter for this Redbirds team and played very well over the first couple weeks of the season. He's got 13 tackles, including 5 last week, and he walks gingerly to the sideline. So Metamora a little banged up right now. We'll see how that plays out. 3rd and 8 coming for Potters from their own 32. Davis escapes to the pocket, finds his man. It's a first down. That's Aaron Garcia.
Yeah, and that time we see him outside the pocket again, right? Davis making plays outside his original setup area, and that time it wasn't necessarily because there was a ton of pressure from Metamora. There was just the open space, and he was quick enough to get there, and that's where, again, he's most dangerous.
Davis is no short of options at wide receiver. He's got many, many targets, again, through first 3 games. Hands off, it's Vian Seams. He didn't go down. Seams is still up. We'll see, but I think this should be a touchdown. Vian Seams goes 53 yards.
Yeah, that time they just sent the man in motion behind everybody. John, it's a simple option play up the middle. They give it to the give man and able to keep that low center of gravity, able to pivot a little bit, make one miss, and that's all she wrote. Another long play in this game where we thought maybe it might be a little bit more scoring, but history is anything. The winner usually scores about 35 plus.
I was just about to say, boy, this is turning into another Potters Redbirds track meet. Touchdowns of 73, 39, and 53 yards. We're only through not even a quarter and a half yet here at Malone Field. Potters go for 2. And it seems in the backfield. Davis looking. Good protection from the offensive line. Gonna pass it, and it's intercepted. Thereby, looks like that may have been Cranford. So it remains a Metamora lead, 14-12.
Tell you what, Morton's going to be kicking themselves at the miscues following scores tonight. The missed PAT followed up trying to tie the game up again and don't convert on the 2-point try. That time, again, Metamora really good about flooding everything out. They're able to not necessarily step up in trying to obey the quarterback scramble, but able to crowd the throwing lanes.
And that scoring drive brought to you by Papa John's. Another quick one for the Potters. That one, 1:28. About 70 yards or so. Now back and forth these teams go. It's I was talking with Teddy Ball, one of our staff members here at Clutch Sports Media. Teddy's a former track runner, went to Pekin High School. Said that one of his favorite meets was here at Metamora, so he loves this track. And, maybe as well just, extend this game outside to this new track that they got here, or relatively new track they got here at Metamora. These teams have been flying up and down. Kick in no man's land and bouncing out of bounds. I'll give Metamora a good start.
Yeah, so far not the cleanest game we've ever seen, but the explosive plays have kind of made up for that, John, on both ends. And it'll be interesting to see. Metamora with about, call it it's 8:21, but roughly 8.5 minutes to go in the half. You try to go back and maybe milk some time and put one more score on the board, knowing what the kickoff what the coin toss was at the start of the game, and maybe try and pull a lack of possession or double up on possession here against the Potters.
Hey, you play the clock, right? You could get it close to perhaps get a 2-for-1 because the Redbirds will receive the second half kick. And take over at the 35. 3 wideouts for Petrie. Kyle's the man in the backfield. Quarterback will keep it. Not much doing there. The first man there for the Potters. Looks like that was 79, Ian Collins.
Yeah, big fan of that decision there, though, by Petrie. You got some defensive ends flying into what you're hoping is going to be your toss lane out wide, but instead able to hold on to it, and we saw it last drive, his ability to run with the ball, and that time able to just eat it, live to play another down.
I was talking with Petrie during the week, and I said, you're such a physical runner, for a quarterback. He's very much a between the tackles guy. Not really, he can bounce up to the outside, as we saw, obviously, at that touchdown run, but he likes contact, and he said his coaches never really tell him that, hey, don't take the contact because you're our quarterback. They just embrace it as well. Little screen pass, flag down. Cranford's got it. And Cranford is free down the sideline. We'll see what this flag is. Rinkenberger chases him out after a gain of 45 or 50 or so. And they're waving that flag off. Another big play, Cody.
Yeah, and again, I mean, good Lord, put your foot in the turf and like he shot out of a cannon down the side. And it didn't look like Morton was really all too prepared for that breakaway speed. Took a couple of bad angles, and you're going to do that against the Redbirds, you're going to get burned.
Especially with Cranford, too. I was talking with him about his running style. He said he's very much a one-cut guy. You know, he puts his foot in the ground and just explodes. Kind of how a track athlete, you know, when they're in the blocks, they push off the blocks, get that big momentum forward. That's what Cranford does when he runs the football. Big play for him. Good to see him back on the field. Toss play. It's Cranford inside the 20, and Rinkenberger does a nice job of wrapping him up there alongside Trey Zobrist.
Yeah, only a minimal gain there, but I really like the approach that Metamora is taking on this kind of drive, right? They take a look at the clock. They say our defense is playing lights out. Yeah, they gave up the quick score last time out, but this offensive line is doing the work sideline to sideline. It's super hard as a defensive front to really read the blocks necessarily and try and figure out what the offense is trying to do because, like you said, it's like reaching into a bag and just guessing on what you're going to pull out.
See what the Redbirds offensive coordinator Nick Dolinsky has in his bag here on 2nd and 8. Handoff, not much doing. Potter's bag is deeper with Gideon Snyder, the senior, the big TFL.
Yeah, and it's kind of not necessarily a weird or unique front that Morton's trying to run here, but they'll have the 3-down lineman in a 3-point stance, and then they'll have the man on the edge in a 2-point stance, usually a linebacker over the edge. And that man is there strictly to force everything back inside to his buddies in the middle. And that time, able to shut down the edge, big loss.
So that'll make it 3rd and 10. Back at the original line. See if the Redbirds dial up here. Again, playbook pretty wide open. Here's Petrie looking left, looking for a receiver, and it is nearly intercepted. He was looking for Liam Udell. First time we've called his name in the 2 games we've seen the Redbirds.
Yeah, and wow, did he have a step in a spot where a ball was kind of just lofted into space. It's right, kind of almost like a shot in basketball. It's just over the fingertips of the defender, and that time kind of through the breadbasket. I don't know if he anticipated maybe getting it to him just with how much loft was on that pass and how long it hung in the air.
And that was a dangerous throw because Udell was guarded by Silas Steffen, the basketball player for Morton, the tallest man in their secondary at 6'2". So Metamora lucky to see 4th down here.
If I'm Metamora here, I'm thinking about taking the timeout just because you want to make sure you get it into the right situation. It looks like they will. Kind of dialing up here, John. It's how good do you feel about your kicking game? I mean, you've seen some near miscues on long snaps thus far in the punting game. Hopefully that doesn't translate over to the field goal unit, but at the same time, a conversion here would be huge, and if you do turn it over, it's essentially a touchback on a kickoff.
So 4th and 10, we'll see what Redbirds dial up here. And Cody, a uniform-related note tonight. Obviously, Metamora, their home blacks. We're used to seeing those. Morton, their road whites. Last week, Morton had those jack-o'-lantern helmets back. It was Pumpkin Festival week. Unfortunately, not wearing those tonight, but it's always fun to see one of the more unique helmets in the area. I like the creativity and the uniqueness of that design.
Yeah, I like it just how it ties the community more than anything. I was out with Bradley Basketball during the Pumpkin Festival helping out with community service. You can just see how much the community loves that aspect of the football team, having a little bit of creative leadership and kind of impact on the football team that they love so much.
Believe it or not, Cody, I apologize to anyone tuning in from Morton who is been maybe a big Pumpkin Festival person. I have never been to the Pumpkin Fest it's now my 6th year living in Peoria after spending 4 years at Bradley. But it's something that I've always wanted to go to. I've just been too busy with high school football. That's the way things go. So 4th and 10 on the edge of the Ashley Furniture Home Store red zone. Petrie looking to throw for the end zone. He's got it. It's a touchdown, Redbirds.
It's the first real pass of any sort of distance tonight, John. But again, it's just a simple bang 8 on the outside. Kind of curled it in more like a post route. But Got one-on-one coverage on the backside. No safety there to really close the window. All too happy to take advantage.
That was Eden Cote again. His second score of the night. This time from 20 yards out. He's nearly at 100 here in this first half. Great ball, too, from Petrie as Sopko comes on for the PAT.
Yeah, really liked how he's kept them on schedule tonight, whether it's with his feet or with his arms. He's done a really good job of getting them out of some tight spots tonight.
Sopko, high arcing kick is right down the middle. Metamora opens up a 10-point lead, and that's for those miscues on the PAT 2-point hurt for Morton. This could be a touchdown game, but instead it's a 2-score game right now, 21-12.
Yeah, now you're coming out if you're Morton. It'd be really big here if you could kind of more or less keep the rhythm of the game right. You have 5:50 on the clock. You're a very run-dominant team. The run game, let's be honest, hasn't been awesome tonight. It's had some flashes outside the long touchdown run, more or less, but there's a real chance you take this ball with about 4:45 on the clock. You can run it down to about a minute or so, and hopefully you're capping off with a touchdown drive and then coming out and playing defense, trying to get the ball back in the second half.
You see the lit-up Redbird sign in a neighbor's backyard. Again, real quick, that scoring drive brought to you by Papa John's. And Cody, it's always fun to see, whenever there's houses around a football field, always fun to see the people. Sometimes they're tailgating. I think a couple houses over there, at least in the past, we've seen them throw tailgate parties. They just watch from their back porch. Might as well. And Bird's Nest chanting before this kickoff, waiting to see Tommy Sopko booted into the night sky. He'll run up and swing the leg. This one looks like might also be headed Steffen's direction again. He spins away and still up on his feet. Not much more after that, though. And overall, decent starting field position for Morton in most of their drives. Kicks haven't gone too deep. Steffen's had some decent returns. Just see if they can finish an important one off here with 5:42 to go. And you try and take your time on this drive, Cody. You try and not let Metamora get the ball back much before the half.
Yeah, I think it's a smart move, right? Your defense has been on the field a lot this second quarter. They've given up some long plays. Let's see your offense try and eat some of the clock, eat a lot of yardage here, maybe go on a maybe 10-plus play drive that really try and consume this last 5 minutes and change. Try and put one on the board, and then put your defense out there in a one-score game.
Rankenberger's in motion. Davis will keep it, though. Runs right into the wall. That's named Shea Seals. Just stood him up.
Yeah, right choice there by Davis, right? He's running that QB kind of inverted veer or choice in the middle, which means he's reading one of the defensive linemen that they have schemed left unblocked. And if he crashes or goes, it depends on if he keeps or takes or hands it off, and that time navigates it only for a handful.
Seals noted as a good open field tackler. He's a converted safety. This one, hand off to Rankenberger, makes a cut. Got a first down and more into Metamora territory. A gain of about 22. We talked about Morton. They like to run with their wide receivers.
Yeah, and again, especially when you get them in motion, it's so troublesome for a defense because they get a running start, and it's almost like trying to tackle, I guess, literally someone coming at you at full speed just off the snap, and that's very tough to do. But, again, you're going to have to find an answer, whether it's an edge defender or one of the linemen.
So Morton wasted no time. They said, forget trying to get 3 yards in a cloud of dust. They're just going down the field. Short gain there. I believe that was Buffington on the carry. Watching this game, Cody, we haven't seen Peoria High this year, but boy, this game has kind of that Peoria High feel to it. Both teams just back and forth down the field, and hey, perhaps it's fitting considering Adam O'Neill, former Lion. Davis keeps it and got wide open turf. There goes Davis. 38 yards out, another big play touchdown, Cody.
Yeah, I guess shows what we know, trying to maybe eat some clock. But that time on the sprint out, they have obviously the option to pitch that ball, John. But they've taken it away with one of their edge defenders, which allows a cutback lane straight to the linebackers. And if one of your linemen had the opportunity to get to that second level, it's a lot of open space. And we've seen Morton now run that play probably 6 or 7 times, and it's gashed Metamora more often than not.
Davis just went right up the middle, and he'll go for 2 here. Davis, I think he might just be short. And no, he just barely got it by the skin of his teeth. So Powders get one back. They're only down one now. And going back to that play, Cody, maybe it's a situation where, and I was going to say maybe you missed Cam Nickel, but he was there, I believe, on the field on that play. So it looks like Nickel is okay. Again, Redbird's a bit banged up.
Yeah, and it's just odd, right? Because Nickel has so many responsibilities along the defense. He's either in the spy game, in coverage, or he's coming down and run support. Well, in that time, obviously, he's probably the one tracking the quarterback. But if one of those linemen gets that second level and gets a hat on Nickel, then guess what? One of the edge defenders has to come in that time there wasn't anybody home.
So it's a one-point game again. Boy, we're having some fun here in Metamora. A scoring drive brought to you by Papa John's. I mean, again, another sub-2-minute scoring drive for the Potters. That one taking 137. The way that Metamora's going, Cody, I still think that depending on the outcome of this drive, Morton could get the ball again before the half.
Well, we've seen some fluke turnovers. We've seen some opportunities for each defense. It'll be kind of curious to see if one of these two teams will ever take their foot off the gas in terms of maybe the play calling and just trying to get in the locker room.
So, return by Kyle, I believe it was, out to about the 23.
The other point I want to make, John, it's not necessarily that the defenses are playing bad. It's just good
yeah.
football right now up front's opening up a lot of channels for each offense.
Certainly, I think this is good to see, especially for Metamora, because this is already almost not far off from one of the highest scoring games they've put up so far this year. So, again, their defense has been really good. At least it was the first two games. Offense, though, lagged a little bit behind in terms of points on the scoreboard, not in productivity. But the scoreboard operator here at Metamora is getting a workout here tonight. Quick score update from Pekin. The Pekin Dragons leading Washington 9-6 at the half right now. That's shaping up to be a thriller down at Memorial Stadium. Handoff. Going to be a tackle for loss. Again, Gideon Snyder. 36 in white has been a demon.
Yeah, and again, a tough loss of yardage there. You can kind of see the game plan, right? It's the quarterback, Petrie, still faking that pass out to the side, but the problem is by then, running back's already gobbled up in the backfield. They're not fooling anyone, and so you may have to come to a different wrinkle off that action. And this looks like maybe the drive where they do try and take some time off the clock and get into the locker room.
It appears to be the case. You never know if they do break open a big play. Well, maybe that approach is out the window, but you'll take the points any day.
It's worth of note, Morton still has all three of their timeouts if they want to get the ball back.
They do, especially 2nd and 14. Here's a pass. It's complete. Gained a good chunk there. Petrie found again his favorite guy tonight so far. It's been Eden Cote.
Yeah, and he's done a really good job on that hitch route. The key in it is it's kind of like an in-between curl route. You want to get onto the feet or front of the feet of the cornerback and then break it back in, almost kind of like a comeback. But you want to find that soft spot where the DB can't break on the ball. So far, they've eaten up that yardage so far.
3rd and 7. I think Morton would definitely burn a timeout if they can get a stop here. Maybe saving them in their back pocket in case Metamora does get a first down.
A lot of bodies in the box. Be curious to see if they bring pressure.
And there was some movement. And it's going to be a false start. So makes things harder on Metamora. And if you're Morton, you just need one good defensive play and could lead you to a halftime lead potentially.
Yeah, and if I'm Morton, I'm still really thinking about bringing some heat here. Petrie's looked good in the pocket. You maybe want to try and get him off schedule here, and especially if you could just maybe not get the sack but affect the timing of the route and quarterback. That's going to go a long way in that ball possibly being intercepted or incomplete. We've already seen him crank up the pressure once and get a turnover tonight.
Again, there was an interception that Petrie threw earlier to Cole Rankenberger.
First pass of the game.
Yeah, first pass of the game, and then there was also that interception, I believe Cranford intercepted Isaac Davis on the 2-point conversion. Earlier,
now it's going to be an illegal sub. It's going to be an illegal substitution. They broke the huddle with too many men.
Yeah, was in fact 12 guys. Looks like a guy that was trying to come off.
Like one of the heavier bodies, maybe one of the tight ends.
Maybe looks like possibly number 42. I don't know, not quite sure who that was. I think that's actually 49. Caleb Morrison, actually, yes, the tight end. Also defensive tackle for Metamora.
The thing that's hurting Morton here, though, is they're losing a lot of time if they want the ball back.
Here's their little reverse run. There goes Nickel.
might be right at the marker. The nose of the ball hit pretty much right at the sticks, but a lot of bodies flowing that way. I was about to say, John, that these penalties are good for Morton, but the clock doesn't stop on the penalties, so the clock keeps turning down, and now Metamora's most likely going to get the final say of the half.
Nickel plays sort of kind of an H-back, fullback role on offense occasionally as well. It's been a part of Metamora's offense over the last few years, and that's just his second rush of the season. His first one went for 15, that one going for about 17. Handoff up the middle, second life for Kyle, I believe. First down and more. No, that was Cranford. A gain of 16 and a flag after the play, Cody. We'll see what this is about.
Yeah, it's probably going to be something along the conduct route. I don't think they would have flagged the block towards the end of the play. They're just finishing the play, but we'll take a look at it. Either way, again, Metamora, right after a big play, kind of hurting themselves here.
Referees tonight, Pete McGinnis, the man in the white hat, our umpire Isaiah Doty. Their crew also Brett Brewington, Jerry DuBois, and Dave Wallace. The 5 men out there tonight. Is a unsportsmanlike conduct on Metamora. So that'll bring back that great run by Cranford, who just didn't go down. Maybe been some jawing after the play, and Jerry Grebner wants an explanation.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Again, you don't want to take passion out of the game, but if he said something over the line, obviously the official has to throw the flag there. But again, you just see the toughness and the kind of the X-factor Swiss Army knife role that he brings to this offense. You can use him in a number of different ways in the passing game and obviously the running game.
I think Cranford sort of kind of maybe stood over his defender for a little bit. That may have been, again, never in a million years could we hear anything up here, but assume that maybe some smack talking going on, but backs Metamora up to their original line of scrimmage. So just another 1st and 10. Petrie unloading. Looking long, tipped by Rickenberger, nearly brought in by Mark Frederick.
Again, really good coverage outside here. Kept him on his hip, forced the receiver into the sideline, able to go up with one hand without interfering with the wide receiver, batted away. Now, the thing here is, had so much of a first step that was nearly still hauled in. So kind of counting your blessings there on both sides. One, that it wasn't picked, but two, that the receiver didn't come down in the tip drill.
We have two of some of the best defensive backs, if not two of the best DBs in the Mid-Illini tonight, with Avery Grebner on Metamora's side and Rinkenberger on the other side for the Potters. Grebner's got 2 interceptions this year already. So 2nd and 10, a minute 2 left to go. Petrie being chased, he'll throw it. Wobbly ball, jump ball. I don't know who has it. It's going to be a jump ball. I think it might be Morton, Cody.
Well, the old saying is in baseball, tie goes to the offense, and a lot of credit that time in coming back, almost playing DB for half the play, not allowing complete interception. But at the end of the day, he knows if he just gets in there enough and can get to the ground looking like a 50-50 ball, it's going to belong to his offense.
And guess who it was, Cody? Eden Cote again, well over 100 yards in just this first half. Petrie dropping back again, going deep, looking for Frederick. Not a bad throw. That was just a bit too far.
Yeah, and that's not a bad incompletion for this offense because, one, you're not overly worried about the down count right now. You only got 31 seconds left in the half. If that ball's caught, obviously a touchdown, and it was thrown so well out in front, the DB had no chance to make a play on it.
And back to Cote, Cody. I mean, came into tonight, 2 receptions for 30 yards, and he has just been kind of like Waffle House, always open.
Yeah.
You see the Springfield High School, one of the high schools out in Springfield, Missouri, runs out the Waffle House flag before the game because they say their receivers are always open. Petrie will throw the screen, is batted, incomplete.
Again, noticeable little details there in the play, that last down there, John, is one, really good play call from Metamora. Trying to catch everybody thinking, hey, they're going to take a strike downfield. A lot of credit to Morton's defensive lineman. You're always taught as a defensive lineman, if you can't get to the quarterback, get your hands up, because it might just be a tip drill if you can get a paw on it, and it nearly resulted in a terrible giveaway for the offense of the Redbirds.
And Metamora have nothing else. Again, you only got 26.8 seconds to go before the half. You have 2 of your timeouts. But even if you don't get points here, not the end of the world because they do get the ball back. You just don't want to let Morton go into the halftime with perhaps a pick six.
Yeah, I'm looking to the sideline here if I'm the Redbirds in some fashion.
Good block on the left tackle. That was Cowper. Brought in. Did Cranford hang on to it? He did inside the 20.
And I'm willing to bet they'll take one of their timeouts here, John. And just as I'm kind of saying it, they evacuate that left-hand side of the field, sneak him out of the backfield on that kind of simultaneous wheel route. Not necessarily a scissors concept, but kind of like everything else, just trying to roll the secondary out, replace it with an empty body. And, again, really good play calling right now for the Redbirds. They're dialing it up well, and they have a lot of different things they can go to here.
Again, their offensive coordinator, Nick Dolinsky, Jared Grebner, handles their defensive play calling. So 20 seconds to go, one timeout. You're at the 18-yard line. The very least, maybe you could try Sopko for a field goal. I don't know what his range is. But, again, at the least, I think Metamora is probably thinking touchdown here. I don't think 3 points would help a little bit. Wouldn't do you a ton of good, though.
Yeah, and you've realistically got probably about 6 chances here. If you get a short one and pop a timeout, again, they only have one left. So a lot of these I feel like will have to be towards the goal line or towards the sideline. There's not going to be a lot of in-between. If you get it over the middle, you got to make sure you get forward because you cannot be tackled in bounds here.
Definitely can't. They have to burn that last timeout. May hurt a potential field goal attempt. We'll see what happens. Petrie dropping back. Flushed out. He's got some room to the right. He's going to keep it and go to the sideline. Smart play by Petrie. It took up about half of the clock remaining, though.
Yeah, and that's going to eat away a down or two that they could have had if that's just a quick incompletion. You got to like Petrie's decision-making there, though. Trying to make something, but a lot of time running off the clock here. Again, if you're Morton, you know the situation defensively. They aren't going to hand the football off. If it's going to be a run play, it's going to be from the quarterback. So have a guy in spy. Everybody else has got to lock up in man-to-man on the back end.
This has been a heck of a sort of 2-minute drill of sorts. And Petrie has thrown the ball well. Some great completions to Cote, to Cranford. There is a long run from Cam Nickel. And another good run, too, by Cranford that was called back due to the unsportsmanlike. Got time for maybe 3 plays here. Grabner's going in motion. They'll hand off to Kyle. He breaks a tackle, and they do hand it off and get a touchdown.
Well, maybe thinking the inverse, maybe a little reverse psychology, at least on me. I thought for no way would they hand that ball off. A lot of the bad things could have happened there. But instead, run blocking is good. Morton floods out trying to protect the pass. And give a lot of credit to this Redbird offense. They have it dialed up really well right now. And now, do you go for the PAT to make it a full 8, or do you try and go for 2 and push it back to 2 scores, knowing you'll get the ball back at the half?
That's a great question, Cody. It would be so hard for me to decide here. But the Redbirds will go for the PAT with Sopko, who is 3 for 3 so far tonight. That one is along the right side and up and good. So 8-point lead for the Redbirds, and barring a house call, Devin Hester-esque return, looks like the Redbirds are going to have a decent lead going into the halftime locker room. I wonder if, again, that reverse psychology potentially from Grebner, thinking that Morton's probably thinking we're going to throw here. And they just hand it off to Kyle, and credit to him, he broke a tackle that could have brought him down in bounds.
Yeah, and that's how you know you've really got it going right as a play caller, is that when you're able to kind of hit them on the back end of something they weren't expecting, it feels really good about the offense. And so far, like we said, John, they've done just such a good job keeping them off balance.
That scoring drive brought to you by Papa John's, one of our longest ones of the night. That one taking up about 4 minutes, 8 seconds off the clock there, approximately. Boy, what a ball game we have on our hands. What did we say before the broadcast, Cody? The winning team scores an average of, 35, 37 points?
North of 35.
And Metamora is not far away. Neither is Morton. Two teams just know how to score on each other. And it's a squibber from Sopko, and nearly fumbled, but brought in there by the up man, Tommy Krupa. Junior wide receiver, can probably safely assume related to former Potters basketball star Katie Krupa, who's now at the Harvard Crimson.
Yeah, so there's going to be two sets of things that could probably happen here, John. One, Morton obviously could take a shot towards the end zone and just try and flood an area with some bodies, come down with it. There's a little more design to it than that. Maybe you want to get Davis outside since he's more comfortable throwing it, looks like, off that back foot. Or they could obviously knee it and maybe try to get an athlete into space. But if I had to guess, with only the lone wide receiver, they're okay right now. Maybe trying to just get one athlete in a matchup that they like and maybe just take one broken tackle to the house.
I think that seems to be the case. Move the blocker over. It'll just be a handoff to Seams. He's had some big runs this first half, but not right there. Wrapped up by Cam Nickel. And that's where we leave the halftime break. 28-20, Redbirds lead. Cody, your quick thoughts from the first half.
Yeah, I guess if you're just tuning in or have tuned in for the long shot, it feels like Metamora really owns this game when in reality it's only an 8-point game. Morton's done a really good job despite some bad things happening to them offensively to kind of stay in this contest. It's a sign of a good football team, but another sign of a good football team is taking advantage of opportunities. Metamora's done that.
See the teams head to their locker rooms in the dark there. We'll take a quick break here on CIProud.com. Again, that second quarter brought to you by United Way. I want to thank them for their support and for all of our sponsors for tonight's broadcast. Again, Redbirds 28, Potters 20. Owen Dimpfel joins us for the Bob Grimm halftime show, and I sit down with Teddy Ball and Gavin Russell. Get a clip of our In the Clutch podcast, talking to everything high school football in Central Illinois. Plenty of stuff coming your way, folks. Stay tuned here at halftime.
Your foundation could be closer to collapsing than you realize, leaving you displaced from your home and with costly repairs. Force Basements are your foundation experts, providing all solutions for your foundation. We offer several repair options to prevent a collapse and rebuild services if it has collapsed. When picking a foundation expert, it's important they offer both repairs and rebuilds. You're not a foundation expert if you can't rebuild one. Call 309-834-1769 today.
Sam Lehman of Morton, the #1 Ram truck dealer in Illinois. Check out the biggest Ram discounts we've offered all summer, with $13,000 off on all 2024 Ram heavy duties, plus $13,000 off MSRP on all 2025 Ram 1500 crew cabs in stock now. That includes Bighorn, Laramie, Rebel, and Limited. All here at Sam Lehman of Morton, where we do the deals no one else will.
Life happens. With Ashley's all-new high-performance furniture, you can relax. It's life-resistant. From messes and mishaps to snacks and spills, these pieces are easy to clean and durable. Plus, some styles feature machine-washable covers. So bring on the mess with a little less stress and discover high-performance furniture at Ashley.
From the very beginning, she was my support, my cheerleader, always giving me the best she could. Now it's my time to find the best for her, and that started with a call to Shannon Fauner, Sunflower Real Estate Group. Their lifestyle transition experts became part of our family, working with us to find the right fit for Mom, making sure she was ready, and getting her excited for her new home. Shannon Fauner, Sunflower Real Estate Group, the key piece to your puzzle.
The heart of Illinois needs volunteers, and you can make a difference. Be part of a global community of people who care. Discover the joy and satisfaction that comes with improving your community and the lives of the people living in it. United Way connects volunteers who are ready to work with opportunities in the local area, driving real change made by individuals like you. Join United Way in improving the lives and communities around us all. Sign up today at volunteer.hoyunitedway.org.
Welcome back to Metamora, the Bob Grimm halftime show getting underway. And Jonathan Michael here in the booth with you alongside Cody Roskins. Again, Metamora 28, Morton 20. You don't want to go anywhere, folks. This is shaping up to be a fantastic game. And a good week all around the area, which we talked about in our In the Clutch podcast this week. Talked a lot about the Mid-Illini teams. And you can hear that clip. Now we'll send it over to me, Gavin Russell, and Teddy Ball we're talking about earlier this week.
That does emphasize the point, though, of how big the line play is. And I've always been a big proponent of it all starts right there. The games can be won and lost in the trenches. Now, you have to have your playmakers, right? Everybody's going to give the due attention to a quarterback, to a receiver, to a running back. But those offensive and defensive linemen are taken for granted way too often because, like we saw in this game, Metamora wasn't able to really get those effective holes opened up. They weren't able to make that extra block. And Washington, with a lot of really good pass rushers, did take advantage of that. So back to the drawing board a little bit. Metamora is a better team on the line than that. We saw them in the playoffs last year, allowed them to run the ball really well with some great line play. But that's what these early season games are for. I think that the final score is a bit of a runaway, but in defense to Metamora, I think if you play this game again this coming week, it could be a whole different story. I think sometimes when you let it just slip away, it can kind of start unraveling. You lose your confidence. I have no question in my mind that they're pretty similarly based teams. Washington just kind of got the better of this one and fed off the home crowd.
Yeah, that's kind of what I talked about towards the end of that game, too. I mentioned how, in the land of MMA, styles make fights, and it seemed like that game for Metamora was just it was an uncomfortable matchup for them. It was like, the age of Metamora's offensive line, there's still a lot of younger guys. They do have some leadership there, obviously some seniors on that O-line, but just the Washington was just on both sides, offensive and defensive line were just so dominant, and it just shows from offensively just how big their O-linemen were. I think you said the average size of their O-linemen were about 6'2", 240.
6'3", 240. Yeah.
That's just that's insane.
That's some big guys, man.
That's
big
just
guys.
the average size again. I mean, that's not. They have guys that are much bigger than that, and the size of Washington's offensive line is second to none. And real quick again, not to change gears too much, but another team that has a good offensive line that came up big on Friday night. Pekin, they return one of the most experienced lines in the conference. They have 3 starters back. One of them, Hunter Lamerson, all-conference guy. That's more than just about most of their conference opponents. And, Dunlap maybe a little bit younger on the lines. And obviously there was the game came down to that ultimately that broken up 2-point or that intercepted 2-point conversion by Dylan Anderson, who just had a phenomenal game, 3 touchdowns on the offensive end, including the go-ahead one in the fourth quarter. So obviously, Anderson's plays were, probably the biggest factor in that game. And again, I wasn't at that game. I didn't watch the entire every single play. But, you look at that game, and I'm sure that Pekin's offensive line played a pretty good factor in the game in both, running the ball and also giving their quarterback Brogan Benassi some time to throw and, find, those big completions to Anderson and Benassi has looked pretty solid. I think Pekin's had a pretty solid offensive attack. You got Ty Jackson coming up at running back, who's becoming one of the better backs in the conference. So I think again, just obviously beating Dunlap is huge. Whenever they made a statement, I really do think that Pekin could be a contender this season. Mid-Illini is wide open right now. Always a fun time on the In the Clutch podcast with the rest of the fellas here from CSM. Boy, every week it seems like we could talk about football for hours on end. And to talk about some football, we bring in Owen Dimple into the booth. Owen's here reporting and watching from the sidelines. And Owen, good to have you up here. What have you kind of seen overall, general first thoughts from the first half?
John, this has been an outstanding game thus far. 2 really good offenses. We see kind of a dynamic of both running the ball and passing the ball through the air, but both teams are doing a really good job moving the ball. But so far in the first half, Metamora has made the most of all their opportunities with their scoring drives.
Certainly, and a big key that first half, or just a story of the first half, is the big plays. I mean, these are 2 teams that like the ground a bit more than the air, but we're still seeing some scoring plays. 73 yards from Cote, 39 yards from Petrie, 53 yards from Seams, 20-yard pass from Cote, 38-yard rush from Davis. I mean, it has just been back and forth. It's a lot different than what we saw last week between Washington and Metamora.
Yeah, and Metamora, they're just really just finding ways to get their athletes with the ball in space. And that's why they have all these explosive plays. I mean, we talked about Cody with it seemed like every time he touched the ball, it was a big play. He had the 73-yarder, 20-yarder, and a 30-yarder, which on that 30-yard catch towards the end of the first half, I thought it was going to be intercepted. Yeah. I was standing right there near that yard line marker, and I really thought it was going to be an interception, but he fought with it and came down with it. So he had an outstanding first half. But then, yeah, I mean, you had Jadon Cranford, not as much running the ball, but on that halfback screen, it went for 44 yards, which that was another generated explosive play. But if you're a Redbird fan, you're really excited to see what this team did in the first half, how they rebounded from last week's, only put up 7 points on Washington and 28 here in the first half against Morton.
Definitely, and it's already tied for the most points they've scored in a game so far this season, and Redbirds got to be feeling good. By week 4, kind of getting some things, know what they can do. And talking with Jared Grebner, he said, we're kind of knowing what, we're trying to play a team that we know we can be versus a team that we want to be. And this Metamora team, I think, can accomplish their original goal of being a team that can be fast, score some points. And, for Morton as well, they haven't had the ball as much. A lot of quick scoring drives, but they put up 20 points and overall not a ton of time with the football.
Yeah, I mean, they've had the explosive plays as well, just as equally as Metamora. And for them, it's been through their quarterback, Isaac Davis, and primarily on the ground with the 2 rushing touchdowns. But he's had that big 38-yard one, which was his second touchdown. But, yeah, I mean, Davis has been leading the way, but you can't forget about Shondon Buffington. He is the lead back for this Potter offense, and he finished the first half with 36 rushing yards.
You're going to see Buffington back again. That 36 rush yards is more than he had the entire season coming into tonight after missing last week's game with an injury. Also good to see Jadon Cranford back after being injured last week as well. Oh, and real quick, before we let you go, what does one team need to do the most? What's the key maybe for each team going into the second half?
Well, for Morton, we talked about the explosive play. They have to find a way to limit Stephen Petrie in the pocket, because when he's gotten out of that pocket, he's made plays on just running the ball and throwing on the run as well. So they need to find ways to keep him contained. For Metamora, I think it's just keep feeding your playmakers just across the board. They don't have, just one guy that they go to every single play. It can be from, the receivers, from the running backs, or then you get Petrie just taking himself. So overall, Metamora, keep feeding your playmakers.
Definitely, there's been lots of playmakers on the field tonight, lots of scoring as well. It has been a fun one here in Metamora. Tell your friends and family, if they're not tuned in, they should want to watch some good football. And also know Illinois playing tonight as well, but this game is probably going to be just as good, if not better. Last I checked, Illini and Huskers locked in a close game. We'll go through more scores around the high schools here in the area when we come back on our Bob Grimm Chevrolet halftime show in our WMBD Game of the Week. Right back after these messages.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime. After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams.
Your stories. Your stats and standings.
Your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts. As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds. CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action. More stories.
More coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
Life happens. With Ashley's all-new high-performance furniture, you can relax. It's life-resistant. From messes and mishaps to snacks and spills, these pieces are easy to clean and durable. Plus, some styles feature machine washable covers. So bring on the mess with a little less stress and discover high-performance furniture at Ashley.
From the very beginning, she was my support, my cheerleader, always giving me the best she could. Now it's my time to find the best for her. And that started with a call to Shannon Fauner, Sunflower Real Estate Group. They're lifestyle transition experts became part of our family, working with us to find the right fit for Mom, making sure she was ready, and getting her excited for her new home. Shannon Fonner, Sunflower Real Estate Group, the key piece to your puzzle.
The heart of Illinois needs volunteers, and you can make a difference. Be part of a global community of people who care. Discover the joy and satisfaction that comes with improving your community and the lives of the people living in it. United Way connects volunteers who are ready to work with opportunities in the local area, driving real change made by individuals like you. Join United Way in improving the lives and communities around us all. Sign up today at volunteer.hoiunitedway.com.
Passionate, focused, strong. Qualities that you look for in a great athlete, and also a great lawyer. At Strong Law Offices, injury law is at the heart of what we do. Our team is on your side. When the game is on the line, let us tackle your claim.
Start your career working in the electrical industry with great wages, benefits including guaranteed retirement income, paid health care, dental, vision, 401k, and more. We have positions open now with IBEW Local 34. Be a part of the electrical team on the front lines of the electrical revolution. Join us on the cutting edge of training in new electrical technology. Contact us today at PeoriaJATC.com.
And welcome back to Malone Field. The halftime sort of wrapping up. Players back on the field, stretching out and getting ready for what's set to be a great second half of play. Cody Roskins joins me back in the booth. And Cody, let's take a look at some out-of-town scores. Some interesting results right now. We'll start in the Mid-Illini. Pekin is up 9-6 at Washington. Canton leading East Peoria 16-14. The Little Giants looking for their first win. And Dunlap up big 42-zip over Limestone.
Yeah, a lot to digest there in there, John. But obviously one thing we already knew, the Mid-Illini is a little crazy this year, as it is every year. And so with the amount of, different scores they have, obviously EP still having a chance to get to 4-0 this week against Canton. And that would be a tremendous start for their program. A program the last few years has just been trying to build participation, build that kind of endurance in their program. And this year, finally starting to get those results. Meanwhile, Canton, they're trying to bounce back. They're trying to show that they're not going to roll over for anybody in this league.
No, definitely not. And, it's so good to see a team like East Peoria that is, more or less been the doormat of the league for so long, kind of started to turn it around. They're actually technically the number 11 team ranked in Class 5A right now. Obviously, it's obviously they haven't maybe beaten the best of the best teams those first 3 weeks, but hey, wins are wins, and they put up some big ones this season, looking at 4-0, and it would feel good for Canton to get a win as well after playing some tough competition. Some other scores tonight in the Big 12, Cody. How about this one? Bloomington up 35-zip on Normal West. Wildcats have been a perennial league power, but I think Bloomington, maybe it feels like this is their year to contend in the Big 12.
Yeah, and it feels like they've been knocking on the door a little bit, right? They've had some games that have really kind of gone against them in the past, but this time it really feels like they're at the door ringing the bell, and it's just a matter of time until they kick the door down.
Other scores in the Big 12, rivalry game between P&D and Richwoods. Irish up 44-14 in that one. Peoria High puts up 64 in the first half over Manual. They lead 64-12. Looking at some small school action. Actually, before that, another Big 12 game. Kankakee up 26-6 on Normal Community right now. So the Ironmen getting tested up in Northeast Illinois. Some small school scores for Farmington, 42-6 over Bureau Valley right now. Fieldcrest hanging a big number on Westmont, 54-0. U-High up on Lincoln, 42-0. And Eureka up 14-0 on EPG. So lots of shutouts potentially in the making here tonight.
Yeah, and I saw that Eureka team a week ago, and John, I tell you what, that is a super physical football team. They love to get behind the tackles. They've got a really good auxiliary weapons on the outside in the receiving core. They went into Mackinac, Illinois last week with shorthanded in the backfield. Their starter, Tanner Weigland, was down. But I tell you what, Eureka just finds ways to move the ball, be physical at the line of scrimmage, and they just wrap up. They're such a sound football team.
Eureka's a heck of a football team. Not too far away here from Metamora. We're ready to get things going in half number 2. It gets a deep kick brought in by Kyle at the 7. Takes a stumble, tries to bend it back. He's got some speed. Takes it up a little bit, up to about the 18, 19 or so before he's run out. And that's what Jared Grebner said about Kyle. He likes to kind of bend it against the grain. He's a creative running back that likes to go east-west, maybe not as much as he would have wanted to there gain-wise.
Yeah, well, this will be the first time we don't see awesome starting field position for Metamora, but they come into a unique spot in this game, right? Because it really felt like as much as they dominated, they really never owned it on the scoreboard, right? They could have had a chance to really blow things open, but Morton has been chasing the game really outside the first 4 minutes, and now their defense is going to give them a chance to come back and really level this contest.
A big opportunity here for the Redbirds to go up 2 scores. The advantage you have of deferring to the second half and holding a lead. Handoff goes to Cranford, and not much doing there. Overall, Morton's D-line hasn't played too bad tonight. 3-4 front for the Potters with Rylan Tanner and Ian Collins at the end. J.J. Barnes in between them. Collins the lone returning starter of those 3.
So it kind of gets interesting here for Metamora, right? Because you had such an explosive first half. Do you have a lot of bullets left in the chamber, more or less? Or do you kind of dial things back and get back to basics the way you slowly built that attack in the first half, starting in the first quarter? It's a lot of running the ball, getting in between the tackles and guards, and then it kind of opened up from there.
Very much like that Metamora-Washington game we saw last week. Flags fly all over every angle. And it will be a false start.
Talking with coaches in the past, right, there's always some penalties you can kind of stick your neck out for. But usually when the laundry flies all at the same time from all 3 referees, it's usually not one you're going to win.
No, that was pretty clear to the referees down there on the field.
Again, I'm kind of curious, though, does Metamora try and stay on the ground here, try and keep things manageable, or does Morton on the opposite and try and dial up some pressure, maybe get even a bigger net gain, sort or less, from their defensive front?
2nd and 13. And Petrie keeps it. He's going nowhere. Tanner doesn't throw him down, but wraps him up. No forward progress at all. It's going to be 3rd and very long.
Now, you got to be careful. We've already seen Metamora having the willingness to throw a little tunnel screen or running back screen into the flat here. So, yes, it may be 3rd and long. It doesn't necessarily mean the ball is going overly far past the line of scrimmage. You got to be locked in on your keys here, because if they get the ball in space, we've seen that they've had the playmakers with the breakaway speed.
You got to keep an eye on Cranford, number 1. Standing on the left side of Metamora's huddle right now. Also an eye on Cote, who's had reached the century mark in the first half. Trey Zobrist matched up on him at the bottom of your screen. They're in 17. Petrie still has it. Throwing a nice final down the field. He's got Frederick. He hit him in his hands. Would have been a 92-yard touchdown if Frederick could have hung on, but it wasn't so.
I tell you what, he couldn't have ran down the field and handed the ball to him in a better spot, right in the breadbasket. That's one as a wide receiver, you just don't see it through your hands and right through the gap in your forearms. And that is one that you may want to circle in red if this game's close down the stretch.
Oh, that was so close. The longest throw we've seen of the game, and Frederick had his man beat by quite some space. Frederick is the former running back, sort of converted wide receiver. Pressure on the punt is blocked. Goes through the back of the end zone. And that is a safety, so the Potters make it 28-22. They'll get the football right back.
I said it back in the first quarter. I was timing how long it took for the long snapper to get the ball to the punter and for them to get it off. It took 3.5 seconds. When you're backed up on your own, and that's far too long, and with already a compressed area, Morton's able to sell out on the punt block, and all of a sudden, they could come down, score, take the lead. I'm telling you, John, it's those little things in between like that that just swing this game on a pivot point.
We saw the first long snap of the game back to Petrie, their punter, was a little high arcing. Took a while to get there and just barely got it off. Redbirds not so lucky that time. Although maybe the silver lining is they went through the back of the end zone. It wasn't recovered for a touchdown.
Yeah, and that's always the big thing, right, is if you're going to give something up, you might as well give up the 2 and have your defense on the field to at least try and defend to give up, or excuse me, to not try and give up the touchdown. So Yeah, it's a tough break for Metamora there to give up the 2. But like you said, John, they're going to put their defense on a relatively shorter field to try and not surrender the full 6 on this next drive.
That turnover brought to you by Force Basements for Basements Foundation and Crawl Spaces. So Potters will get the ball back. And, we talked about they missed a 2-point conversion. They missed a PAT. Got the 2-point back. But now you get those 2 points back. Maybe not the way you drew it up. But they're not playing from behind the scoreboard anymore, although they're down 6. Short kick brought at the 43 by Stephan. He's already into Metamora territory. That's about as good of a return as you can have, considering how short that kick was.
Yeah, and again, this is going to be the big test. So Morton's defense has had the dream start to this half. Obviously, you knew coming out you needed to probably get a stop. You would have hoped toward earlier than later because of how good Metamora is running the ball. But not only did they get the stop, they got a score to go on with it. Now, if Morton goes down, scores a touchdown here, you know how big of a fan I am of some of my sayings, but Big Mo would have definitely been wearing the road white uniform if they go down and put 6 on the board here.
Big Mo is one of our favorite hypothetical, fictional characters at Clutch Sports Media. It stands for momentum. And it's on the Potters side right now. Starting the drive in plus territory. It's Rinkenberger in motion. Goes into the backfield. Option play. It ends up in the hands of Rinkenberger. Pushes away Seals, and it's some yardage, but still going to be a tackle for loss. And it looked like Schalk may have been in there on the stop along with Seals.
I've been so impressed with how well Metamora flows sideline to sideline. Not only do they flow sideline to sideline, but they don't over-pursue. They're able to chop their feet, break down, and really bring the ball carriers to a stop. And it's been a big part of why, outside of Davis, they really haven't had much momentum on the edges tonight for Morton.
It's definitely true. Davis is, like it's been this season, the biggest playmaker on this Potters team. Buffington gets that carry and gains about half of what he needed to for the first down. So third and about 6.5 or so. $8:50 to go here in the third quarter. It's been nearly a one-score game the entire way through. Here's Buffington. No, rather Davis. Breaks to the outside and a nice tackle there from Metamora. That was number 13, Braden Bittner, the DB, coming up to make the play.
Yeah, and it's, again, those little things, John, we talk about. Breaking down in space was one of the, hidden keys more or less to this game with how good Davis is running the ball, able to get a good stop there on bring up 4th.
It'll be 4th and 3, and it's going to be Redbirds football. Their defense makes a big stand to get the ball back.
I tell you what, John, if Metamora ends up hanging on to this game, they have got no bigger group to thank than that front 7 of their defense. Yeah, Morton's here and there busted a long one, but guess what? It kind of happens in high school football, right? But tonight, the defense has done such a good job of just compressing blocks and allowing those linebackers that are so good to run into space.
Score update from Pekin. Hunter Reed has found the end zone for Washington. They now lead 13-9 with 36 seconds to go in the third quarter. Again, our John Camosa's there. We'll have lots of game stories coming your way tomorrow morning and afternoon throughout the weekend on ClutchSportsIL.com/overtime. Owen Dimfel here. Wesley Stambaugh at Bloomington Normal West as well. Petrie up to about the 45.
It's been a real pleasure tonight to watch how these two quarterbacks navigate the run game. Obviously, Petrie, a very physical presence, but there shows the nimbleness to able to kind of cut it back against the grain, which is something you're always scared your quarterback doing because there's always a safety or a linebacker coming against that grain as well. But they do just such a good job of getting the ball into space, and so far Morton just hasn't been as sound in that department tonight as Metamora has.
See if maybe Gideon Snyder can come up with a big tackle for the Potters. He had a great first half. Made a handful of tackles. Second and short here. I love this situation as a play caller. And it will be a handoff. And not much doing. I think that's going to be a third and short. I think Kyle got that carry.
Tell you what, if you're Morton and you want to make a name for yourself in the Mid-Illini this season, this is going to be a pivotal down, right? There's 7 in the change still in the third quarter here, but you get that ball back to your offense and stall out in third and short. That's such a big momentum gainer for your side.
3rd and 1. Look at the moon tonight. The wolves are howling. It's third down. Well, maybe we don't actually hear any wolves, but maybe hypothetically there would be, turn into a great weather night here in Metamora.
If this thing goes anywhere but in between the two guards, I'd be surprised. This is probably going to be something up the gut.
Handoff goes to Petrie. He keeps it. They fooled Morton and got the first down before he's brought down by Barnes and Rinkenberger. They've been busy tonight.
Yeah, and again, it's just tough there for the Morton defense. You got 3 down linemen, essentially 3.5 linebackers with a safety creeping down in the box. But the math still works out in order for Metamora. You got 7 on the line of scrimmage, and when the quarterback carries the ball, we touched on it earlier, that's just one less guy they have to account for in the secondary of the defense. And so math is math all the time, John, and that time it works out again.
And a good play as well from that, again, that young Metamora offensive line, one of the lesser experienced groups on paper in the conference this year, but have played well. Petrie flushed out, trying to make something. He trucks a man. Oh, my. Petrie just ran a man over at the 42. And he's their quarterback, ladies and gentlemen. You don't see that very often.
Well, in the defender's defense, not to be like acrimonious there, he's not the average quarterback, right? He definitely looks more than the bar, but yeah, that's tough. It's a truck or be trucked world out there, John, and sometimes as a defender, you are caught on the wrong end of things.
Well, I wrote a feature story on Metamora, finished up this morning on CSM Overtime. It was about their ground attack, Kyle Cranford Petrie. It was called 2 speedsters, Kyle and Cranford, and a truck. Guess who the truck is? You saw it right there. 2nd and 4 from the Morton 42. Petrie's got plenty of time. Rushed by Barnes. Deep down the field, he's got Frederick. Had to lay out. Again, another close miss between those two.
And Stefan, again, just beat off the line. So far, he's been pretty solid, but that time there wasn't a ton of opportunity for him to get back into that play. Good route, but those are one of the passes that, like we said, when you take your shots, got to hit them. And so far, we've seen 2 long balls over the middle that Metamora just haven't been able to connect on in the second half.
There might be a flag on this play, Cody. Didn't see one down originally.
I don't think so.
It says at the 42, so no flag, rather. It's 3rd and 4. Morton defense wants to get off the field. Redbirds have been chewing up some clock here in the 3rd. Petrie keeps it. Not much doing the Potters.
Be short.
Gonna win the push there. He maybe got a yard, but good stop there on 3rd.
Yeah, and this is where, as a play caller, how much do you – it's kind of a balance, right? How much do you trust your defense to get the stop if you don't get it, but how much do you trust your offense to go out there when you've been running the ball well and get you 3 yards here against a Morton defense that quite frankly has been getting pushed around at times, but these last few plays and drives have really bowed their neck strong.
It really has kind of been hot and cold, really, for both the defense. They've made some fantastic plays, and they've gotten gashed for some as well. We'll see what happens here on 4th and 3. Redbirds keeping the offense on the field.
It's going to be best on best. Look for an athlete in space. So they went up the middle last time, but
we get a flag. We'll see what this is about.
This might change the decision.
Oh, boy, now it's 4th and 8.
Well, not only is it 4th and 8, but it's 4th and 8 from your own 40. It's a heck of a lot different than trying to gain 2 yards inside the 40.
And it looks like that was another too many men on the field. Second time that's happened for the Redbirds tonight.
Yeah, and they've usually been pretty sound in the procedure department traditionally here at Metamora. But, again, it looks like there's not really a question. They're going to go ahead and go for this. And now at this distance, running the ball becomes a little more challenging. But with the athletes they have, could get something kind of on the edges here.
Cranford's in the backfield. He's now in motion. They swing it out to him. See what he can do in space. Barnes was right there, along with, I believe, Ian Collins. Look at the Potters sideline. They're pumped up. That's one of their best plays of the night.
I tell you what, Morton must have gotten a talking to at halftime because their defense has done just about everything you could have asked for. They've scored on the defensive side. They've pushed Metamora back in spots, and it just appears that they've kind of been eyeing some of these adjustments that could have been coming from Metamora and have been ready for them. That's a sign of really good coaching, and now they're going to set their offense up with the short field.
Starting right at midfield. Potters have had some decent field position here tonight. 4:09 left to go in the 3rd. Up the middle, it's Buffington, another carry. Plows forward for about 4. And Metamora still hasn't scored in the second half. Only score has been that blocked punt for a safety. Ball just kept on bouncing, with its oblong shape. Never know where it's going to go. And it took a couple crazy bounces, and instead it was 2 points rather than 6. Another give. Buffington stumbles, still gains about 3.
One thing I noticed on that last play with the 3 receivers towards us here on the boundary, John, they've got the numbers advantage. Metamora's only walking out 2 secondary defenders out there off the ball. So if there's a quick pass that goes out, there's 2 lead blockers and nobody within 10 yards. So maybe watch for Morton to hit him with something out there, and now they'll finally run a third over.
And they'll run that second 3 to the left side, but they'll run it to Buffington up the gut. So 3 straight calls to their senior running back, who was a game-time decision coming into tonight. It's going to set up a 4th and short, and I don't think there's any question in the building about what Morton's going to do here.
No, there's 2 teams here that really pride themselves on this situation, having enough faith and trust in their offensive lines and skill position players to go get them 3 feet when they need it. As there's a player down for the Redbirds, but again, big down coming up here because it's been a stark contrast to the first half. A lot of defense, both offenses really having to earn every inch right now.
Certainly, and Cody, just overall, again, as they tend to the injured player, both teams playing so well here tonight. And, talk about Metamora, that game last week against Washington was tough. Never easy losing to your rival, especially when they run away with it. And that's what Jared Grebner said. He said they played all 4 quarters. We played a 4 as well, but we just weren't able to finish like they did. And I talked with Metamora before the season, wrote their season preview. And the biggest key they said for them that they wanted to do was finish. It felt like they didn't finish against Highland, second round of the playoffs last year. And they just wanted to – they started the season hot, didn't quite finish it the way they wanted to, and they want to finish games as well. And that'll be tested here tonight.
Yeah, and it's a real growth mindset as a team, right? We mentioned how young their offensive line is. These are the kind of games where you grow as a unit, whether it's in these tough situations or in tougher spots down the road. But even along the defensive line here, that's the side of the ball they're on. They're going to have to find a way to get a little bit of penetration and not allow those linemen to get to the second level here, because anything of that sort from Morton's going to mean a first down.
And we have a player down here in Metamora, and it's not looking good, unfortunately. We'll take a quick break here on the WMBD Game of the Week on CI Proud. Come right back after this. Metamora leading 28-22 late in the third.
The Jansen Law Center, representing Illinois injury victims for over 40 years.
You're involved in a serious auto crash. The insurance company isn't even fair with you concerning your motor vehicle. Do you think they're going to be fair with you with regard to your serious injuries? Contact the Jansen Law Center.
J. Jansen. One name says it all.
Hi, we're John and Kristen Taylor, owners of Jolliffe Glass.
Have a cracked windshield? Make Jolliffe Glass your first call. We will handle the rest.
Jolliffe Glass, we're the quality folks.
I know that buying and selling in today's real estate market, it can be stressful. I've been guaranteeing home sales since 2007. Call Adam Merrick Real Estate and I'll take the stress out of your next move. I'll have an offer to you in 48 hours, guaranteed.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime. After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams.
Your stories. Your stats and standings.
Your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts. As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds. CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action, more stories,
more coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
And welcome back to Metamora. A scary scene here earlier as a Metamora player that was Gavin Ryan, freshman offensive lineman, went down, and he was in some major pain, Cody. He is now, for the first time, he's putting weight on both of his legs, so it ended up, at least looking, I don't want to speculate, being not as bad, near as bad as we thought it was going to be. As Metamora ready for face a 1st and 10 from the Potters. Or rather a 4th and 1, excuse me. And that will move it to be a 1st and 10.
Yeah, and just kind of going back to that play, you knew, again, both these teams priding themselves before we went to break. We said it. They pride themselves on 4th and 1, being able to go get more than a yard. And so it's really tough, right, because now you have some different bodies filling in defensively for Metamora that maybe haven't been eased into this game, thrown right into the thick of it here as we get to the tail end of this third quarter in a game that's been anything but soft hitting.
It definitely has been a very physical game tonight. Again, some players from Metamora have gotten banged up. Another player coming off as well, holding his shoulder. So we have seen Cranford, Nickel, Ryan, and whoever that player is right there, again, could be Nickel. I'm not quite sure. Walking off. Redbirds it is Nickel indeed. Hand off to Buffington. Bounces off a guy and still chugs forward out across the 30. Nice second effort there from the Potters running back, who, again, put together his best game of the season so far.
Yeah, and you're not going to bring him down with arm tackles or shoulder pad tackles. You got to get down by his knees, down by his ankles, try and hold him on and get some help because that guy is a load to bring down.
He'll be 2nd and short. And Davis still has it. Brought up by an ankle tackle there. That was Bittner again on the tackle. Bittner's a new starter. Comes in with a handful of tackles so far this season. But he'll still move the chains for the Potters.
Yeah, and again, doesn't it just kind of have that feel that Morton's on one of these drives where it's going to be tough to get him off the field because it doesn't look like they're going to throw the ball and you have to deal with that big offensive line.
And off up to about the 15 into the red zone. Again, brought to you by Ashley Furniture Home Store. That was Vian Seams, the other back for Morton. And really the nice thing about, again, you never want to see Buffington, your star guy, miss time, but what we saw at Seams last week, I think it showed the Potters and Adam O'Neill that, hey, we don't have to ride Buffington for 25, 30 carries a game. We can rely on our other guys as well as we get a timeout here with 1:44 left to go.
Yeah, and he's a real nice change of pace back, too, when Buffington is in there. But like you said, he's got a ton of qualities that you like in a starter, and that's always kind of like the treasured spot, right? Backup running backs, kind of in the realm of backup quarterback. It's really nice to have when you have it, but when you don't and things go awry, sometimes it can be really messy for an offense. And if I'm Morton, I just find it hard to put it in anybody else's hands but either your two tailbacks or Davis. I just have a tough time thinking they'll try and go outside when it hasn't been a very throw-centric game plan for them. And, it's going to be a very physical path.
Certainly. And these players have been working hard tonight, but there's another young lady that's also been working very hard tonight for Metamora. That's their trainer, Jessica Brooks, new to the team this year, and she's done a nice job of getting these Redbirds all healthy and ready to go. They were dinged up last week, but most of them came into tonight pretty healthy. She's been a busy woman tonight. Run for the first down by Seams, I believe it was, down to about the 11. So Potters have a chance to end this third quarter with a big swing, potentially the lead.
Yeah, Davis, a little check with coach at the sideline. Maybe see something they want to take advantage of.
Davis hands off. It's Buffington. Stopped at about the 7. Lots of Redbirds in there on the stop. Looks like Petrie got in there, along with Kevin Barker, Shea Seals. I mean, half the defense was there swarming to Buffington. And this Morton defense, Cody, you just never know who's going to get the ball. It could be Rinkenberger, it could be Alexander, it could be Buffington, Davis. It'll be Davis this time. Keeps it right up the middle. Davis plunges in from 8 yards out. And the Potters have tied it up with less than a minute in the third.
Yeah, another physical touchdown drive. Dan, this game's just been so fun to watch from a traditional standpoint, right? There's a lot of power play, a lot of zone running scheme, and both these coaches are just so good at scheming things in the run game open. You've heard of pass-centric coaches and quarterbacks. Well, tonight we got two very run-centric offensive lines.
Yeah, we certainly do. The PAT from Dane Kasier is up and good, so Morton has their first lead of the night, 29-28, 54 seconds left in the third. And boy, oh boy, Cody, this could not get any closer. So many little things might play a big difference in that game, such as that safety. But this quarter drive brought to you by Papa John's. It's a couple minutes off the clock for Morton. Definitely their most methodical one of the night.
Yeah, and I was just taking a minute. I hadn't even had to Google search it, but the running style of both these quarterbacks reminds me very similar. Do you remember Tyrone Swoops at Texas? They had the special quarterback run package called the 18-wheeler.
Oh,
and
boy.
now they
I
had
think
a couple.
I do.
They had a couple different quarterbacks during that time. It would have been probably 2015 or so. But they specifically put that in just because of how effective it was, even though he was the backup. And so you have two very similar running quarterbacks to that style here, in between the tackles, and sometimes they'll get them on the edge, and it's dangerous.
Davis has got 2 touchdown runs tonight, one from 7, one from 8 yards out. Petrie on Metamora's side has a 39-yard scoring scamper. Kick bounces at the 5, picked up by Kyle. Tight ropes the sideline, out across the 20 before he's pushed out there by Morton's Wade Leuchtenberg. So now Metamora playing on their heels maybe just a bit.
Trail for the first time. We'll see how they respond.
Again, it's going to be huge. You know, it's in the third quarter. They were still in that game against Washington before they just got worn out. Wonder, you know, it's not like playing video games where you can check and see what your players' staminas are. We can't tell in the booth right now, but I love to know how these players are feeling right now because they have had to work hard tonight, and I wonder who's the more worn down.
Well, and especially with the two-way players, right? There's not a ton of them, but there's a fair amount out there for each side. And those people have been logging some long minutes and on these drives, especially on the long plays.
Metamora's defense has about 2 or 3, 4 if you count nickel, two-way starters. Petrie swings it out. He's got Grebner. Try to get a block. Again, he's wrapped up. Good open field tackle there from Stefan.
I tell you what, I don't know how Petrie got that throw off. He was drilled when he let that go and somehow got it outside, and he's down, kind of clutching his calf almost.
I'll call Jessica Brooks. Trainer's got more business to take care of. We'll see how. And again, you know, Peter's trying to maybe stretch that out. Could just be a cramp. It is still a little hot, a little humid, but hopefully he is all right. And great night of games around the Mid-Illini, Cody. I mean, last time we checked, Canton East Peoria, 2-point game. Washington Pekin, 13-9 Panther lead last time that we checked. I mean, it is just going into these games, you almost got to flip a coin. You really never know who is going to win on any given night, except for, well, Dunlap beating Limestone pretty handily.
Yeah, it looks like Petrie's pretty hobbled there and going to need some hydration a little bit. It appears it was just a cramp, but he's going to need to take it down to probably get stretched out. So it'd be interesting to see how much that restricts the play calling. Do you trust your backup quarterback to come in and sling it, or are you most likely just going to hand this ball off?
And it looks like the quarterback right now is Avery Grebner. Their wide receiver and defensive back, coach's head son, now now quarterback for the Redbirds on 2nd and 10. He'll hand it off. Gain of about 5, half of what they needed. I believe that was Evan Kyle on the rush there.
And there was an avenue there if he's able to put another step or two into the ground before that play comes to a conclusion. But speaking of conclusions, John, that's the end of the third quarter, and it looks like there's another member of the Redbirds down.
That third quarter brought to you by Peoria Production Solutions, and we'll keep it here between quarters. I would, again, talked with Adam O'Neill actually earlier this morning. This quote, though, I talked with him before the season. Rather, our Latif Love did. A big focus for them this season was emphasizing how much faster they can play now that they're a year into the system, right? The players know the system, they know their head coach, they know the plays, and a big focus for them has been executing at a faster pace. And, well, I mean, they've certainly been fast tonight, that's for sure, but look for the Potters to do good things, especially as they become more familiar with a little bit of a different-looking playbook. Adam O'Neill, obviously a very kind of unique head coach.
Yeah, and he does a lot of things really well. I really like his use of the pre-snap motion. Now, there's not a ton of it, but when he does use it, it's very effective at drawing eyes from the defense. And one thing I also noticed, glancing back at the scoreboard, John, is we entered this quarter, both teams kind of flirting around and getting to that 35-point mark. Both teams now just staying one score away from hitting that crucial 35 points that each winner in this series since 2014 has hit.
That was Kyle. That was banged up for Metamora. So you're down one of your defensive linemen in Gavin Ryan. You're down your quarterback right now in Petrie. He's still on the sidelines. Grebner will take the snap. Also, again, Jadon Cranford been a bit hobbled tonight, but he's in the game right now. And Cam Nichols also been hobbled as well, and I may be missing a couple others. So Redbirds are banged up right now. Hopefully everyone is okay. Big 3rd and 5 here to kick off the fourth quarter. 2 wide receivers. Can't imagine Grebner would throw, but maybe he will. He'll keep it. Run to the left side. He's got some space and more. There goes Grebner. Down to the 50.
I tell you what, they're not afraid to dial it up with the backup quarterback, even though I guess he is, coach's son, so he definitely knows the playbook well. But that time, that's a different wrinkle off of the play that we saw earlier. They threw that ball into the flat. That time they run the backside quarterback power. Very effective.
Great play from Grebner there. Gained about 25 or so. And Grebner said, good season just on both sides of the football. Had 5 catches for 138 yards and 2 scores versus Sterling. That was more yards than he had all of 2023, where he missed a couple games with an injury. Still is an all-Mid-Illini second-team player. Petrie back in the game. He's got Frederick. 8 trips up. But Petrie and Frederick finally connect, Cody.
Yeah, and it looks like he may have gotten the wind knocked out of him on that one, hitting the turf the way he did, but finally they're able to connect. We saw him drop the long touchdown opportunity over the middle in the 3rd quarter. Now here to open the 4th. Redbirds got a lot of momentum going towards that goal line.
I had to hold your breath almost for Metamora. He didn't want Frederick to be banged up, but I think he just landed on the football. Probably just went right into his stomach, so I'm sure he'll catch his breath, get his wind back, but a 47-yard completion from Petrie to Frederick, and Petrie is putting together a whale of a football game. It comes after a week, Cody, where he only went 4 for 10 for 19 yards and a pick, and he does this tonight. He has been superb. And we get some pre-snap laundry. This one might be on the Redbirds.
Yeah, and again, it's kind of odd, right, this play calling section that will be upcoming, because they've been so good at running the football, but we've also seen them kind of towards the end of the half. Just when we thought they might pass, they go with the run. And so Morton's in restricted airspace pretty much got to commit to one and just pray that the other half of their defense can come through.
So now the second play of the final quarter could potentially get Metamora back on top.
1st and goal inside the 5. Maybe one of the most open you'll have as a play caller, and so there's just so many ways you can go here.
Petrie keeps it. He pulls over a guy, carries him into the end zone. Touchdown, Redbirds. They jump back in front.
Well, no need to mix it up when you got Old Reliable running the football well, and Redbirds didn't have to wait long to get the lead back, John. Now, do you go for 2 to try and push it back to a full 7? I'm willing to bet that they do.
I would. I mean, there's not a huge difference between leading by 5 or 6. I mean, if you go for the 1, it pretty much banking on that Morton either misses the PAT or their 2-point conversion. I think you just –
well, we've seen them do both tonight.
We have.
So that's where the rationale comes in.
And both these teams like to kick. They also like to do 2-point conversions. You just never really know with either of these squads.
Yeah, to me, there's no question. You're going for 2 here to push this to a full 7.
And that's what they will do. Extra blocking help in the backfield. Grebner's in motion. Petrie looking his way. He's open, but he can't find him.
I tell you what, really good concept there. They motion him in, get it tight to allow him to get that space to work outside. It's almost like a zig route / an out route, and trying to just find that open space, because there's no way, unless that DB has outside leverage, that he's going to be able to keep up with that. That time, just out in front.
Good sportsmanship by Trey Zobrist of Morton, helping Grebner up after I'm sure he was a little disappointed not bringing that ball in. So it's a 5-point game. touchdown for Morton would give them the lead right back. So again, these PATs, 2-point conversions, throwing quite an interesting wrench in this game. That scoring drive brought to you again by Papa John's. I want to thank them, as well as lots of other fine folks helping to make tonight's broadcast possible. Also like Michael's Italian Feast and Joliffe Glass as well.
Still haven't gotten to a team that get to 35 yet, but they're trying their hardest.
It is true. It is true. The average winning score in the last couple of games in this rivalry.
Not even last couple, almost last decade.
Yeah, pretty much. You take a look at it, kind of the series history. You've seen this earlier. In the last 10 games, these teams have split them. Only one game has been won by 10 or more. Or actually, no, I should say one game has been won by 10 or less points. So whoever wins usually wins by a lot. Metamora won last year's contest, or they won it actually 2022, pardon. Morton won it last year, 43-19. And another short kick, and good kick coverage there from the Redbirds. That looked like that was Caden Smith for Morton bringing that kick back, and they'll start just shy of their own 30. Now, if you're Morton, Cody, again, never know how this game's going to shake out. You got to really value these possessions because you don't know how often you'll get the ball back. I'm sure they'll get it back at least once, but you don't want to try and test fate too much.
Yeah, I think we can mail in the envelope that thought the second half was going to be as open as the first half was. Both teams very conscious of how important these possessions are, and so far, with the way they've called the plays, it's shown that.
Final from Kankakee. The K's defeat the Normal Community Ironmen 26-13. Buffington gains about 5 or 6 there. That's Normal Community's first regular season loss since 2022. Went 9-0 during the regular season last year.
Yeah, they'll still be okay. They got a lot of talent on that.
Will.
They'll be more than okay, but again, it's always good to learn those lessons earlier in the year than in the postseason.
And I'm sure a team that sees that result maybe goes yes a little bit. As Buffington carries the ball is Washington. Obviously, they lost 42-7 to the K's. Played them close last year, but, you know, so we had a late flag after this one. That Kankakee team could potentially win a 6A state title this season. They might be one of the favorites.
Yeah, it's not even could. It's more or less probable to be in a position to do so. And, again, it just seems like year after year they have no shortage of talent.
I have a personal foul on Metamora, so that'll give the Potters a bit of a gift. And the second personal foul on the Redbirds tonight.
It would have been manageable down and distance defensively, but you essentially gifted them 10 free and another first, or excuse me, 15 and a free first. And this next snap's going to be taken inside Redbird territory. And with the way that they've been handing the ball off a ton, it wouldn't be surprising to see Davis eventually pull it, especially with the amount of field he has open to that left hand side.
There is nobody up there. Everyone on the left side of the field. Davis will keep it. They'll run right into a couple Metamora defenders, including Braden Bittner.
Yeah, and a lot of what running the football comes down to is can you get a hat on a hat. So you run to the number side, and so that's why it's usually uncommonplace to see a bunch of runs to the weak side of the field. But with the amount of space they have there, it's only going to take one missed tackle for them to really take advantage of that space. And now that they've got the ball kind of inside Metamora territory, not overly deep, this is a chance where you can take a shot.
A couple wide receivers here for Davis. He's got Matt Sander. Haven't called his name yet. New starter for the Potters in the slot. It seems the back, and he is met immediately by, I think that was Riley Jackson, and another flag comes flying out, Cody.
I tell you what, if this is on Metamora, John, they just are free Christmas presents.
And it's going to be on Morton, and the Potters in that situation, you just got to be the bigger person, you know. First personal foul for them tonight. I know there's been some talking clearly on the field tonight, and you just have to let that go because you're trying to win a football game, not win a war of words.
Right, and that's the tough thing, right? Is again at the end of the day, it's easy for us to say, but these are just kids. My oldest on the field is most likely 18, and so it's very tough for us to say up in the booth to keep your cool like that. But for the betterment of your team, you gotta find a way just to contain that.
So that'll make it second and a lot longer, about second and 22 or so. End around goes to Rinkenberger, and he's met I think that he was in there for Metamora. Looked like Nickel potentially may have been in there.
He was not only in there, but Nickel got almost planted on that backside and took a little bit to get up. Some of the Morton players were just chatting with him to see if he's okay.
And Nickel, the number 11 ranked linebacker in Illinois, by 24/7 Sports, he's headed to Western Illinois next year. A second-team all-conference player. And Morton, 4th and 22, no choice really but to punt. Gotta hate that if you're the Potters. Again, if take away that personal foul, you're probably going for it.
Oh, it's a really good punt, though.
It bounces inside the 20, and Redbirds will just let it roll. I knew about the 12, so pretty good boot, about 46 yards or so by Zobrist, whose average is about 32. So now if you're Morton, it all lies on your defense. You give up a touchdown here.
It's uphill sledding.
It is. It would be very tough. That is for sure.
Well, and the encouraging sign is their defense has played really well. They've adjusted tremendously to what Metamora did well in that first half. And again, they're running backup players right now in really crucial spots are the Redbirds. And the last time that the Redbirds were backed up down here, they walked away with 2 points defensively and nearly came away with a touchdown off the block punt.
The Redbirds take over in their worst starting field position of the night. Their first play of the game came from Morton's 20 or so yard line. Kyle, short gain there. Take a look at the Morton Potters schedule this season. A big game for them, Cody. We didn't say it was a must-win, but they would really, really want it because you got Pekin next week. They're playing Washington closer now. You got Limestone, East Peoria. Then you finish with Dunlap and Washington. And, you know, you maybe see 2 more games you should win. Everything else, though, is very much up in the air.
Well, that's life in the Mid-Illini, right? I mean, it's just every week you don't know exactly what you're going to get, but there's definitely opportunities to be had.
Now 2nd and 7. Man in motion. That's Caleb Morrison. Elhan, it'll be Petrie near the 20. So these are good runs from Metamora. If you can get the first down, kind of that 3 or 4 yards and a cloud of rubber pellets on this artificial turf.
Yeah, and they've had some really good chances in the passing game throughout this contest. So I think as there's another Redbird down, I think there's going to be another quality opportunity here on this 3rd down and call it a long 6, John, to really come out with some play action here, try and leak somebody open down the sideline or over the middle because they've had some chances that they just haven't hit all the time. And Metamora's going to have to be dealing with some more cramps, it looks like, here. And they're starting to get thin up front.
Well, they really are. They have been banged up tonight. Let's look at their schedule for the Redbirds, obviously facing Morton here today. They host Canton next week, and then they're at Pekin. At Limestone, hosts East Peoria, then they're at Dunlap. So, again, good news for them was they won those 2 non-conference games. It makes it a whole lot easier to clinch that playoff berth. Again, not guaranteed, especially with how well East Peoria's played this year. And the Redbirds and Raiders, I don't know if you remember, Cody, and actually a pretty close game last year. I think something to the tune of 64-46. Raiders had a huge comeback in the second half in a rainy game.
Yeah, and just looking at that graphic, and I really like the middle portion of the schedule. Again, on paper, those should be more winnable games than not. But towards the end, going to Dunlap to end the year with the way they've been playing and been talked about. You know, you got Max Sutter, you got Johnny Bargan at quarterback. They've got a ton of weapons over there. A little bit of a stumble against Pekin last week, but, man, if hold serve, watch out. That could be for the conference, more or less.
It very well could be, you know. And Morton also plays Washington that week. That game could be for the conference title as well, for all we know. 3rd and 6. Big down here for the Redbirds. Grebner keeps it. Spins around. He's got the first down before he's brought down by Weeks. Another missed opportunity for the Potters. They had him behind the sticks.
Yeah, and that's one that you're just going to really kick the door tonight when you go to sleep if this game doesn't go your way for Morton. Had him a chance to get it on 4th down and get the ball back to your offense with about 7.5 to go. Now you got to try and defend another 3 downs here in an offensive line that's really feeling it despite being shorthanded.
They really are, and again, a lot of credit to those guys, especially the leader of that line, Landon Cowper, their senior left tackle. 12 on the play clock. Redbirds probably content with letting it bleed a little bit. He'll keep it. It'll be a big tackle for loss, so the Pirates get those yards back. The ball came out, but the referees have blown that play dead. A lot of white jerseys in the vicinity there for Morton.
Yeah, and the defensive line even stunted, took a half stunt in each gap over to the left-hand side. So a really good job for the front to still battle back in position and make that play because it was going to the opposite way they slanted.
So they'll chalk it up as a loss of 3. Again, if you're Morton, as long as you get a stop, keep Metamora out of the end zone, you're still probably going to have some time for at least another possession. They'd like to get it back sooner rather than later.
This is, to me, a table setting down. You want third and medium here if you're Metamora.
They'll hand off. Kyle breaks it free. There goes Kyle. Got one man to beat. Cuts it back. There he goes. 75 yards. Evan Kyle bends it back like he does so well.
Well, and as soon as he put his foot in the dirt and you saw him clear that first 4 yards without any congestion in front of him, you knew it had a chance to be a big play. And then just one-on-one with the safety for the final 25 yards. Just no chance with the amount of momentum he was carrying forward. Now it's a real hell climb here for Morton. They've got some time. They're going to have to score quick and probably get either a defensive stop with about 4 minutes left or try to kick the onside with less than that. They still have all 3 timeouts, but now it's where you kind of have to open things up if you're Morton.
You cannot afford any mistakes if you're the Potters. You're down but not out. But, boy, that run by Kyle was massive. And that's the first 2 possession lead as they go for 2 here. Peter running the outside. He's not going to get there. So that would help for Morton. Just need the touchdown, 2-point, and maybe a field goal. Dane Kaser is one of them this year, but again, we're just playing scenarios. You're going to have to get in the end zone at least once and get the ball back.
Yeah, and that's a tricky thing, right, is if you get into a tough spot into Metamora territory, say you get to about the 18 and you're in 3rd down and long and you don't necessarily gain much there, it's going to bring up 4th down. You're going to need the field goal regardless, or at least 2 scores. So you might as well take the 3 earlier and give yourself enough time to either get the ball back and score a touchdown or kick the onside and go down the field. And so that's going to be the logic here and what they've already decided along the Morton sideline. Now it's all about execution because Metamora's done a really good job on the back end containing the pass routes for Metamora.
They definitely have, and that scoring drive, again, brought to you by Papa John's. We've had quite a few of them tonight. That's been our really first huge play of the second half, other than maybe that long pass from Petrie to Frederick down on the near sideline. We saw lots of them in that first half, folks. In case you're just tuning in, you missed some highlight reel football. It's been a great game so far, and this is Metamora's largest lead of the night. Sopko runs up and kicks it away. Catches at the 25. There's Smith again. Out across, up to about the 40, so not bad starting field position for Morton. They've been about between the 25 and the 40 just about every single drive starting so far.
Yeah, and 60 yards with 6 minutes on the clock is definitely doable, but again, it's about having enough time left to either get the ball back or having enough time to realistically kick the onside and take maybe a shot or 2 at the end zone. And so I would bet you'd still see some run game here. That's a lot of what Morton does, but there's going to be some play in here and down and distance that they like where they already have a play-action pass or a long shot dialed up and queued.
Haven't seen a ton of long passes for Davis so far. A name we haven't called much tonight has been Julian Alexander. Big wide receiver who likes to get involved in the run game for Morton. Arguably their wide receiver 1, carried by Buffington. Not much doing.
Yeah, and Metamore's all too happy to watch them hand the ball up the middle because that's where they're strongest right now. They've got some good linebackers coming downhill, but their 4-man front has done a really good job of closing off those gaps.
So officially about 3 yards there. Davis will pass out to the outside. Sander brings it in. Nice catch. And on a bullet pass there from Davis.
Yeah, and it's almost like if he could have got that up just a hair earlier, a second sooner, there's a chance to maybe turn it upfield. And now it's still short of the sticks, but it opens up if you want to go back up the middle on the run game and get right back on the ball. It's definitely an option.
3rd and 1, essentially 2nd and 1. It's going to be 4-down territory. Handoff Buffington. And not much, but he got it across midfield.
Yeah, and for there, you want the safe thing, right? You don't want this game to come down to 4th down and a yard at the 50. If they're going to come up with that dilemma, you want it much closer to the Metamora goal line. So go ahead and get the first down now, and then worry about your shot play next.
Real quick, Cody. Peoria High game is going to final. Take a guess how many points the Lions scored tonight. They had 64 at the half.
90.
86.
Oh, it's close.
Not a bad guess. Davis looking deep. He's got a man. Oh, he had him for a second. Nearly a huge play. His target was Eli Ralston. The second time he's been targeted tonight.
Yeah, well, we knew coming into this next series of plays here that they were going to have to take their shot just for timing's sake. They had the pump and go, but those are the opportunities you don't get back in this game. And if you don't hit them, probably walking out of here with a loss.
And Metamora had some of those near misses in that first half, but are still up by 11. Davis getting good block from Buffington. His pass hits the turf before it could find the hands of Steffen.
Yeah, that's still a good ball, though. You're putting it out where only your wide receiver can get it. Well covered, though. That's just good on good. But again, 3rd down and 10 is what you kind of want to stay away from here. You're probably looking to get maybe 6 to 8 here to try and keep it 4th down in a not necessarily sure thing, but a probable thing.
Most likely, and they'll bring Seams into the game at tailback. Buffington will leave the field, so we'll see what they do without Buffington on this play. Seams, though, has been good. 4 wide receivers. Davis keeping it on the option. Carries the man with him for a few yards, and he got about 6 or so there. But this is going to be a big one here. A flag down.
Well,
or maybe not. I don't know.
Well, if this is on Metamora, it's just as good as a 20-yard gain.
Referees are talking.
Another personal foul.
That's the 3rd one on the Redbirds, and that is a tough one to swallow, Cody. He had him in 4th and medium, and now he just gifted them a new set of downs.
And not only that, John, but it temporarily stops the clock. So as soon as they're ready for play whistles to go, Morton can snap the ball. And if they want to take another shot after what is essentially a big play after the penalty, they are in a perfect area to do that inside the 30.
Now the clock really, again, if you can score quick, clock not as much of an enemy as it possibly could be. You got all 3 of your timeouts. Davis flips it outside. Seams breaks a tackle, but he won't break the second. That was Nickel coming in there again for another big stop.
Yeah, and again, you hit it on the head, John. 3 timeouts. You're still looking at probably getting the ball back, but you'd like it more than 90 seconds on the clock. And so that's why that play is so critical, is because not only do they not gain a time, but they don't get out of bounds.
He was close, and that's just, again, tough spot there for Morton.
They got to get going. They've lost a fair amount of time here.
Again, driving with a sophomore quarterback. Seams has a seam. There he goes inside the 5. Touchdown, Morton, with 4:06 to go. That's exactly what the doctor ordered, Cody. V&. Seams from 26.
Yeah, we haven't seen Metamora really get gashed much in the second half, but give a lot of credit to Morton. They're putting themselves in a position here following this PAT to either take a chance on the onside and try and get the ball back now and put the defense on the field, on the short field if they don't, or they can kick it deep and try and win the field possession battle if they get the quick 3 and out. But again, they're going to go for 2 here to try and, again, make this a 3-point game and avoid having to go the length of the field.
And it will be a 2-point conversion. Davis runs it in there. And so it is now a 3-point game, Cody, and again, opens up the possibility of the field goal, but 4:05 to go. Anything can still happen. You could win this game with a touchdown, too, if you have enough time.
Well, here's the thing. With the way these offenses have been going up and down the field in the first half, there might be more than 1 possession left for each side in this one. But I just have a tough time thinking if it's Metamora's possession here, assuming nothing terrible happens on the kickoff for them, that this ball isn't going to be run a handful of times in a row. I just have a tough time thinking they'll try and gift Morton a free timeout with already 3 in some sort of passing down and situation.
So V&. Seams, the guy who's waited patiently, so patiently for his turn, according to Adam O'Neill, again, with playing behind Shondon Buffington, one of the best running backs in the area. He gets his shot. That's one of the biggest touchdowns of his career so far. A big moment. Scoring drive brought to you again by Papa John's Pizza. Now we'll see what Morton's defense is like right now. Again, Metamora's been running a lot at them. How tired are they? Do they have one more stand left in them? We'll see here in a couple seconds.
So they'll pooch kick it.
And
that's going to take a really good bounce.
Cranford has got to bend it back. He goes down at the 11. Not sure if he voluntarily wanted to avoid the big hit or he slipped, but good things coming for Morton right now, Cody. That pendulum's starting to swing.
Yeah, and again, you get the philosophy there for Metamora. They're protecting against the onside. If they're going to kick it deep, maybe it results in a touchback, and you definitely have one of your most dangerous threats back there to get it. But that might be the second best outcome for Morton on that kickoff outside of an onside kick that they recover, because they've pinned them deep. They've got 3 timeouts, and you're really going to force Metamora to run the ball probably 3 times in a row. And if it's 4th down, maybe you get that early stop, because I'm willing to bet that Grebner would be rolling the dice.
A big key for Morton, in my opinion, is getting a good stop here on first down. If you go 8 or 9, you may have to save those next 3 timeouts.
Cycle it through.
To cycle it through, exactly.
Got to win first and second down. You can't be 3rd and short.
Handoff goes to Kyle. Small gain, I'd say. Is it good enough to take a timeout? Well, Potter's going to let it go. Mason Hoyland on the tackle for Morton.
Yeah, and I like that, because if there is a pass attempt here in the downs for Metamora, you're liking the chances of earning that free timeout, and then you can stack your 3 timeouts back-to-back and maybe even keep one for offense. So you're okay with some time running off here. Again, 20 on the play clock. It's probably going to be about 3:10 left here, and then you'll start burning your timeouts.
Yeah, the play clock down to 10 right now, so it'll be expire at 3:12. 2nd and 9, only a gain of 1. And off goes to Petrie. Again, another ankle tackle, and he breaks. It's a first down, Redbirds, and Morton just cannot bring him down by the ankles. Metamora's broken a couple of those tonight.
Yeah, and that's exactly why you hold on to the timeouts in case there is a big play busted on 2nd down. Still north of 3 minutes here, but time is getting very tight. They're going to have to start burning them probably this cycle of downs, even if they don't win first down.
I would think so. You didn't want to give up 2 first downs. Well, there was one right there. You give up 2 more, use all your timeouts. Boy, you're looking, doing some quick math in my head, Cody. You're looking at not much, if any, time at all. Not much of a surprise what's coming here. It's Kyle in the backfield. Right off to the right side, and another short gain.
And there's the timeout.
Rankenberger on the stop for the Potters. So, what do you do here if you're a Metamora, Cody? Do you just keep on going, just up the middle and hoping you get a good block, a big hole, or you try and maybe catch Morton by surprise, swing some to the outside, go for the jugular, get a first down, and maybe win the game?
No, I remember old Coach Royal out of Texas. He said a lot of times when you throw the ball in a game, only 3 things can happen, and 2 of them are bad. And so in this situation, it's definitely going to be some sort of run, whether it's off tackle or inside. The game now is you have to make Morton burn timeouts. Even if you're punting them the ball back, with the way your punt game's been, granted they had the one shaky long snap, you're probably pinning them inside the 20. And so you got to have some sort of readiness on 3rd down and maybe 5 here to still be able to run that ball. And it's gonna be a little bit of a gut test, right? Because the Metamora defense has played so good, but each side's one play away from taking this thing the other way.
We'll see if this ends up being a clock-chewing contest or if either team has got a game-winning play here in the final 2.5. Grebner running in motion. And they'll run up the middle. Kyle wrapped up. That was a good tackle from Paul Weeks. They'll set up 3rd and long.
Yeah, and now this is just what I was kind of hitting at. On 3rd and plus than 5, as a team, you still have to have that willingness to probably run the football here. You can't give the ball back on an incomplete pass with Morton in 2 timeouts with about 2 minutes left. That's going to be really tough defensively. It looks like the Potters will burn one.
They do take their second with 2:22 left, so yeah, it's still plenty of time. If the Potters do get the ball back, they're probably working with no timeouts, but 2 minutes is enough time, especially for this quick strike offense. Again, Isaac Davis has played a great game. He's got 2 rushing touchdowns plus a couple 2-point conversions. Vian Seams, 2 rushing touchdowns as well, 1 from 53, 1 from 26. There was a blocked punt they had for the safety.
To me, this is some sort of quarterback run game. The way that they've been doing that so well tonight, that they're going to probably get an avenue here. They've been pulling a lot of the backside guards to try and lead the way, almost like a funnel runner.
Pardon me, Davis has 3 touchdowns for Morton. Petrie dropping back, though, trying to run a screen. Cranford can't bring it in. Oh, no, that stops the clock and gives that free timeout back to the Potters, Cody.
And I get it. The temptation's there. It was open. If you catch it, you probably see the game out. But that's exactly why you can't do it, because it's going to be a free timeout and now a timeout left with 2 minutes going back to Morton. So a wild change of events. If they run the ball there's a non-zero chance they earn the first, but it's tough. It's always tough to be a play caller. You want to stay aggressive.
It is. It is a high percentage pass, too. Cranford just couldn't bring it in. Watching the snap, but that one is good. Petrie's punt.
Oh, and they don't get the bounce either.
Yeah, that gave about Morton an extra 2 yards before it's down at about the 25 by Grady Neal. So here we go, Cody. 1 timeout left, and this is kind of, when Hell's Bells starts playing, if for a football game, you see the graphic, how many game-winning drives Aaron Rodgers has led over the years. And, boy, this is Isaac Davis's shot at the big time. As a sophomore with the chance to give his team a big win on the road in a game that you really need.
Yeah, 55 yards in 2 minutes, 9 seconds, and 1 timeout. Doesn't get much harder than this.
Davis is going deep on the sideline. Some contact between the two. And incomplete. Braden Bittner did a great job of playing physical without drawing the flag.
Well, and that's the key, right? He didn't draw the flag, and so he has his head turned towards the ball, which allows him to be just as responsible to go up and get that as the offensive player, and he had him pinned against the sideline, so even if he comes down with it, it's a high unlikely chance that he comes down with a foot in bounds.
Exactly. He was looking for Aaron Garcia, his senior. 2nd and 10. Morton, got to remember, they got to just get the first down. That's first and foremost. Davis keeps up about to midfield, so he got just over half of what he needed there. Now the clock's inside 2 minutes.
And I still like that running the ball there. That puts it in 3rd down and medium. You get half what you need here. Take 4th down as it comes, or if you like your chance, we've seen him throw the out route here in the slot.
4 wide receivers for Davis. He'll run this out. Another option. He'll keep it. He's got a hole. Wow. He's got a block. Petrie trying to bring him down. Quarterback takes down the quarterback. It's a 20-yard gain for Isaac Davis.
I almost said, oh, no, because I thought he was going to pitch that so late. I was
know.
Like, that's almost like when you play the old college football games, the pitch goes behind the running back. At that point, it looked like Seals had kind of turned upfield to try and block, and big play for Davis.
Got some great blocks there from his skill position guys. Now you're at the 30. Again, field goal would tie it. Handoff goes to Seams. Metamora's defensive line's ready for that one there. The big stop there, Kevin Barker and Shea Seals.
And to me, you're not taking this timeout until you absolutely have to if you're Morton. If this gets down to 20 seconds and the clock's still running, game's over. You got to keep that in your back pocket until the very last few moments.
Here goes Davis again. Pitches out to Seams. He's brought down. Shea Seals a big tackle, and it's 3rd and long.
Well, it's evident that they've kind of keyed in on that, and now it looks like they will burn the timeout. So they may like their chances here on a shot play or two instead of having to kind of navigate the rest. But this is what we talked about. That's why you had to get the first score quick enough, because they know they've got a kicker with a big leg. Missed the PAT in this one, but you get a few seconds here. You can run the fire drill out and try and tie this game on a last-second field goal. But to me, your still highest chances, 2 shots to get this first down.
And we did see Kacers, one of the only times we've seen him kick the ball, at least a place kick tonight. That PAT, it was no good, but it had plenty of leg on it. And boy, oh boy, Cody, obviously Morton got 2 points back because of that safety, but again, they missed a 2-point conversion. They missed a PAT earlier.
Could have been a tie game.
Add those two together, you got a 40-40 ball game, and then you're looking at a chance to win. But look at the Metamora band, the Morton students just earlier. I mean, there's a lot of nervous energy, especially here on this home sideline from Metamora right now. Morton, they're ready to erupt.
Yeah, and it could be some scissors concepts here with the wide splits on the near side towards us here, meaning one will run a post, the other one will wheel behind it, try and get that safety commit to the post and have a one-on-one shot on the outside. Or this could be another play again to gain about 8 yards and make it a 4th and short and run up to the line.
Now watch those safeties. Petrie is currently sort of lined up against the man in the slot on the bottom of your screen. Grebner heads back to the sidelines. 3rd and 8.
They even put it back to 54 seconds on the game clock.
Davis keeps it on the option again. Not going to go much of anywhere.
Well, now you got to get on the line. There's going to be no subbing from here on out. The clock is going to run unless there's an incomplete pass, and the ball game's going to be on the line right here.
It all comes down to this. Morton needs a first down. They need the 20-yard line.
You can't run that play for a 4th time in a row.
No.
They're keying on it. You got to have something in your back pocket off of that action.
Game clock under 30 now. Morton's got to go. Davis looking to pass. Flushed out, looking for a guy. Incomplete, looking for Sander. Metamora is going to hang on at home.
Yeah, Davis took a lick trying to deliver that ball, but that's the pressure that Metamora has been able to kind of get at times. It doesn't get the sack, but they're going to get the pressure, and they're going to do just enough as a team, whittled down in some spots to earn a really tough home win.
And this is going to be one of those ones you look back on and think, boy, that was, I think, a big turning point for Metamora's season, right? You know, you have a tough loss to Washington last week. You get beat by 30 by your rivals for your first loss of the year, and you turn around and win a 40-37 shootout despite having a lot of your key guys injured, Morton giving you everything they've got. And this is a big, big win for Metamora, and just you got to feel for Morton as well. They played a heck of a ball game tonight, Cody.
Yeah, and it's just going to be a few plays here that they're really going to want to have back. That sequence where they run the QB sprint out option 3 times in a row, yeah, it's gashed him at times, but you got to know that you had some chances in the passing game, and they know Davis's development with his arms only going to get better. So very bright future for the play caller and signal caller back there for Morton, but it just wasn't their night tonight. Came up just short, and again, it's going to be that sequence on that last drive of a few plays you could have had back.
Definitely, what a game. Another CSM classic, as we like to call it. Metamora 40, Morton 37. A quick break and right back after this to try and wrap this one up here from Malone Field.
It's a huge day of football on Fox, and we kick things off with Big Noon Saturday. Unbelievable. Ohio State looks to stake their claim as the best in the country against Marshall. Then Utah battle star running back Ollie Gordon in Oklahoma State. Beautiful catch. And under the lights, Baylor takes on Coach Prime and his Colorado Buffaloes. Holy mackerel! It all kicks off with Big Noon Saturday on Fox.
And welcome back here to Malone Field. You see there's our player of the game graphic, but Cody, we'll get a touch of that in a second. Again, Metamora hangs on a 40-37 win over Morton. And boy, oh boy, Redbirds move to 3-1 overall. 1-1 in conference play. Always feels good to get that big conference win. You see the Redbirds celebrate there with the Bird's Nest.
And it's always good. Obviously, the student sections were at full throat for the entirety of this contest. It'll be a tough trip back home for the Potters, right? Not a short drive here, not long, but it's going to be one where it's going to be a lot of self-reflection on the bus, and I'm sure the Potters kind of know what they have to do now. It's really tough to have another hiccup if you want to be one of the teams standing at the end of this at the Mid-Illini Conference standings, I guess when it's all said and done. And for Metamora, they've done a really good job now to bounce back. Like you said, you can't win a conference title in September, but the Metamora Redbirds have done a really good job about not losing it in September.
They certainly have. Again, it's going to be a tough loss for the Potters, who fall to 1-1 in conference play, but 1-3 overall, and again, got 5 more chances to get essentially 4 more wins. So Potters have to kick it into high gear, but boy, they, not for any lack of effort said, they played a fantastic, fantastic football game, and just fell up a couple plays short, like you said, Cody. Again, our player of the game, sponsored by Perfect Choice Exteriors. Haven't talked much about it, Cody. Boy, I don't know. So many options for Metamora.
Yeah, and to me, it's going to go with my player of the game would be Petrie personally. Just the way he handled the game, getting knocked out of the game for a little bit, able to come back in, deliver some punishing runs, keep him on schedule. It wasn't necessarily stats he put up, but just the encapsulating effort of him as the team leader at quarterback that kind of sealed the thing. And if you could also give it to the front 7 of the Metamora defense, that would be okay as well.
Definitely. And Petrie had a great game through the air, especially that first half. Again, really aired the ball out well. Found Eden Cote, who had over 100 yards in the first half. So, again, we talked about it as a big key for the Redbirds was wanting to finish. And tonight, they finished against the Morton Potters and won 40-37. An unforgettable game here in Metamora. It's been a fun time tonight. Glad you spent it with us here and our WMBD Game of the Week here on CIProud.com. I want to give a huge shout out to all of our hardworking Clutch Sports media crew, Caden Sexton, our producer, Josh Messenger, our director, Quinn Rinkenberger, brother of Cole Rinkenberger, on camera tonight, alongside Ben Tapp and Teddy Ball, Owen Dimful, our silent reporter here, and Paco Alonso taking some pictures and updating our social media. And my fantastic broadcast partner, Cody Roskins. I am Jonathan Michaels saying so long and good night from Metamora. It's a joyous time in Woodford County. Redbirds on top, 40-37. We'll see you next week, folks.